really heating up. Let me just bring you guys forward on everything that has transpired. So way back when everything was going down with Kanye West 2 years ago, obviously 2 years ago, a very long time ago.
Hey, grace and peace. I can't believe that was excuse me, 2 years later. Let me get a little bit more water to keep on the side of me. I'm gonna try to do a lot of reading. We did a lot of talking earlier, 3.5 hours, and we're gonna try to get through this in I don't know, an hour or two maybe. Kanye, and we were talking about the conspiracy in general, but I'm going to let Candace play, and we're going to look at some of the things that's been said. You know, Nick Cannon, and he had to apologize about certain ethnic group of people, what's anti-Semitism. Whoopi Goldberg made some statements. So name some of the people. So many people made statements. Superstar, super producer Kanye West made some statements on the 13th tribe, the international Jew, invention of a Jewish people. And the most famous of them all in the black community is the secret relation between Jews and black people. What role did they play? Do Jewish people run the planet, the entire planet? Good to see you, Sister Davis. We're gonna get into some of this stuff right now.
Relative to just the political moment. I declined to publicly insult my friend. Some people were offended by that. I understand the offense. I also hope that some people respect that when you have a real relationship somewhere, you don't turn those individuals into a headline because there's peer pressure to do so. Regardless, Kanye West notoriously tweets that he wants to go DEFCON 3 on Jews after he goes to bed. And the press went crazy. People were very fearful. I obviously had an inside track. I knew that he was being threatened behind the scenes by somebody that was close to him, a Jewish person by the name of Harley Pasternak. And that was a part of the reason that he was so upset. So I did a show the day after Kanye tweeted that, before he did any interviews, the day after just the tweet existed. And I asked people essentially to just give him some time. I said, I don't think he is going to blow up Israel. Let's all just calm down and give him some time to explain what's going on. And since that very moment, a man by the name of Rabbi Shmuley and his hag daughter have been harassing me. They have made videos after videos, smearing me, libeling me as an anti-Semite, saying that I defend Hitler, that I defend just an absolute nonsense. I want to be clear.
We got to ask some questions. Is there a Jewish cabal, a mafia, an organization? First of all, there's a few questions we're going to ask. That's one. Is there a Jewish cabal and they hide behind anti-Semitism to run amok and do what they want to do? That's one question. Two, out of all of the ethnic groups, thank you so much, brother. I'll leave the video up. Two, do they use finances? Are Jews better off than every other ethnic group? Have some of the richest families in Hollywood. The media is important when we start dealing with propaganda and things of that nature. People can spin stories. Stories been spun since the birth of a nation. And some people believe that it's been some type of concerted effort to destabilize, to break up, or to make black people look bad in this country. People believe that. Now, when it comes to money well, let me let some of the video play. What about the Arabs? They got money. Yeah, Chinese people got money. That's how come we have to talk. Some people just talking. Was Farrakhan just making those statements? I'll read some of the article now that people come to find out that Farrakhan's biological father is not a black man. Has that been a bunch of nonsense? Dumas came in here and said, is he part of do he work for them folk? Or something along those lines. Could Farrakhan be a gatekeeper? So there's a few things we're dealing with. One, are there enemies against the people of God? There's the two ways we're going to look at it. Because we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. This thing is spiritual. This thing is spiritual. Did people deliberately take control of schools and everything to spin a lie, to teach a lie? I'm going to bring up the doctor from Africa. I'm going to play a few people. I shouldn't have started with Candace, but I'll go ahead and I'll jump to Agla.
Going on for 2 years. They watch every minute of the show, take me out of context, and essentially are trying to create hatred between me and the Jewish community, which is just never going to happen. I'm telling you, it's just never going to happen. I have too many Jewish friends. I love Jewish people. They're a part of my story so much in the things that they have done for me since I was a child. You know, I've shared that with you. We don't need to recap that. It's never going to work, but he won't stop. The threats don't stop. And I showed you guys basically just a small snippet, really just a minute of their harassment over the last 2 years. And some of you guys were very stunned and shocked. And I'm finally defending myself and I feel good about it. Like, I'm not pregnant anymore. I'm like, let's go. Like, let's go, Rabbi Shmuley. So he sees me defending myself and he's now doubling down. He's getting crazier in his threats against me. This is unbelievable. The Jerusalem Post, which, by the way, I actually really like that publication because they do a very good job of just telling you what happened. There's no twist on it. They're telling you basically, here's the headline: Candace Owens and Rabbi Shmuley squabble over anti-Semitism, blackmail, and Kanye West. And they do a very good job in this article of just giving you the play-by-play of what has happened since the very beginning. But buried into this article, I could not believe this. Like, they reached out to him for a comment and he actually said this, quote, "There can be no question that Candace's serious defamation against me and the Jewish community must be met with a comprehensive lawsuit that will bankrupt her." Bankrupt her. He wants to bankrupt me for defending myself against him and his hag daughter, right? Why do I call him an unholy rabbi? Because who does that? It's one thing to say, like, I want to sue somebody. It's another thing to say that I want to bankrupt that person. He constantly makes these sorts of financial threats. And why should we talk about that? Because if I or somebody else said, oh, you know, Jewish people always try to come after people in the means of money, it would be referred to as an anti-Semitic trope. Well, what is he doing right here if not engaging or creating that very trope by saying that he wants to bankrupt somebody? Why? Oh, because, like, she's defending herself. Like, she doesn't have a right to defend herself. I can go after her and smear her and libel her for 2 years straight and she better not say anything. Listen, Rabbi, I don't know what thug life you think you're a part of, but I want to be very clear that I am definitely an uppity Black person. I say that obviously as a nod to Clarence Thomas when he was testifying and saying that if there's a Black person who ordains to think for themselves, these people are deemed uppity. And I want you to know, Rabbi Shmuley, that I am indeed an uppity Black, okay? I am not taking kindly to your threats. So let's just get to the bottom of them. What's next? What's next? I don't fear you, okay? So you want to bankrupt me for defending myself? Is that what you said, by the way? Are those one of the reasons that Michael Jackson put you on a list of individuals that he felt were threatening his life? Were you threatening to bankrupt him? Why don't you answer the questions? I don't fear you whatsoever. So what's next? You've already libeled. You've already smeared. Now you're threatening to bankrupt. What are you gonna do next? You're gonna kill me? Are you gonna kill me because I refuse to kowtow to you because I'm not fearful of you? And I think it's weird that you and your daughter are promoting and selling sex toys. That's why I deem you an unholy rabbi, because the industrialization of sex is harmful to our society everywhere. I don't care if you call it kosher sex. You're selling butt plugs on the internet. You gross me out. You disgust me. I am a better person than you, and I do not fear you. Because as I said, you don't have the ability or the strength to fracture the relationships between me and the Jewish community.
Now, propaganda is one of the tools that people use. The birth of the nation was propaganda. Dirty Black men want to get the pure white women and have sex with them. Now, you remember that was kind of the first movie that they had in this country, The Birth of a Nation. Everybody years later want to say, yes, it was racist, it was wicked, it was stereotyping. We got to try to separate the truth from the lie, and then we can examine it. We're the jurors. We're going to put the information out there. We've already established something is wrong with dark skin according to these people. That's how come I'm surprised people say, oh, they'll only take Israel. If it's about money and something is wrong with dark skin, they're going to disrespect the entire continent of Africa. Everybody on the continent of Africa ain't Israel. So it's deeper than that. I'm not even dealing with no curses today. I'm putting Bible down today. We're going to deal with some facts. Is that okay, church people? Is that okay, Bible thumping Israelites? Is that fine with y'all mystics that we just deal with facts? Or is it a fact that in Israel, they wanted to, what do you call that, or injections so you can't get pregnant? What's the name of that to the Ethiopian women? Y'all already, well, we've played videos. People in India want to become light-skinned. Dominicans are arguing and feel disrespected around other darker-skinned Dominicans. We have complexion issues. People are dying, bleaching their skin in Jamaica. Folk, we already heard the light-skin nonsense, but I'm gonna play some of them videos for y'all. We've had secret societies. We've had the Divine Nine. We've had the brown paper bag test, folk. It's a lot going on. I'm going to stop this, and we're going to look at a couple of things. We're going to compare people. Now, we'll get into it. We know Jews helped with the NAACP. They marched with Dr. King. We know there's good Jewish people and there's bad Jewish people, but we're going to look at the things that's been said. Thank you. The word is sterilization. Here, this is another one. This is just so y'all can hear her. Let me get my volume together. Fair use.
Selling butt plugs with your daughter. I don't know. Okay, maybe you're right. I think it's gross. Right, I think it's disgusting. And I do not, it's not the definition of holy in the Christian faith is what I would say. It's weird to me. Well, okay. It's very, and this could be a difference in our religions, but by the way, your religion does not trump my religion. So I think that you should respect the fact when I say something is unholy, I am referring to my religion. His relationship between him and his daughter is very creepy to me. The sex podcast is very creepy to me. The idea of sitting down and talking to your father about, topics of sex in any regard is creepy to me. Him promoting butt plugs that are sold by his daughter is creepy to me. I have a right to say that I find this to be utterly unholy and that any faith leader, at least in the Christian community, would agree that all of this is giving us very weird vibes between the father and daughter relationship. I can say that all I want. And I do think that part of it, and this is where we get to the topic of where people perceive this and they say, is this a form of Jew supremacy? To say, suspend your Christianity because my Judaism matters more is the feeling that I get when you say, you don't get to say it's an unholy rabbi. Pornography, pornography is unholy in my view. You might disagree with that. It is unholy to Christians. The topic of pornography, peddling pornography, selling butt plugs, the commercialization of pornography is unholy. And I'm going to continue to call him unholy because that is what I deem him to be. And I say that as a Christian.
Now, black Jew, white Jew, does the Bible give these people the impression that they're supreme above all nations? We hear the can't read scriptures and he have not known any other and all of that other stuff. Are the rabbis the one, or is the Bible giving these people the impression that they are supreme, the Old Testament specifically, that they're above other nations? God made the other nations to serve us. Put your Christian mind down and God love everybody right now. Let's just chill for a minute and let's just put some stuff out there. Does the Bible give Jewish people, the nation of Israel, the impression that God is on their side and they're better than anybody else? Because Christianity helped put certain people in Christianity, let me say, help push this stuff. Are Jews or Zionists? Is John Hagee, a big popular preacher like John Hagee and Perry Stone pushing, pushing this Israel is pure, Israel has got to support, Israel, I bless those that bless, and all this other stuff. Thank you, Edith. These are just questions. Let me stop this. Let me pull up Atla and see what he say. All of this stuff is going to come together. Where is he at? Y'all ain't going to like this, but I'm going to play some of this right here. Ooh, they ain't going to like this.
Here. I'm not going to be much longer with y'all.
Are Africans and the continent of Africa cursed? Are they simple, not as educated? Let me let it play before I get in.
I understand we need to move beyond color. I'm not about that, but y'all raised it. If you start it, I'll end it for you. Don't stop.
We can't get around the color thing. The color thing been here before we were here. It started somewhere. To go back a little further, after me reading that Cursor handbook, it goes back further than I thought. All over the place. Certain parts in Africa, a baby came out, albino came out. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Other people say, oh, that's part of human nature. What's going on? Because remember, they think we're like animals. And sometimes among the eagles, giraffes, and other animals, if the parent would actually kill, or a sibling would kill the other one for food, because it's natural. It's natural survival of the fittest. Let's let this play. Is something wrong with Black people, first of all? Or something wrong with the entire human race?
Not nothing. It won't be nothing. But we got a problem. Black people got a problem. Now, we can move to color blindness and always look at the man by the content of his character, never the color of his skin. I'm down for that. You get my vote. Yay and amen. I'm for that. But before we get there, we need to hear some truth. Black people and white folk. Black people got a problem. And it's a God problem. When Black people see the world, I don't care. You can train them. You can train a Black man to be a physician. You can train him to be an astrophysicist. You can train him to be a lawyer, but you can't train him to understand the world. He doesn't know. I'm telling you. There's not 2 cents worth of difference between a mass murderer. There's not 2 cents of difference between a petty thief that's locked away in prison than a Black doctor when it comes to understanding the world. Listen, you listen to me.
People love when they hear Christian preachers talk this nonsense.
Got to deal with this. And we need to begin to acknowledge it, talk about it, ask God to help us, because only God can help Black people where they are. Black people had Africa, that big old continent over there. They never built one boat that was seaworthy, not one.
Africans never built a boat that was seaworthy, I guess, until they ran into white folk. Africans never traveled. Is this miseducation? Africans ain't know how to do nothing. Know how to invent nothing. They ain't know. There wasn't no good civilization until white folk came. This is supremacy right here. Somebody like this type of Christianity. He talk this nonsense he talking about. Somebody like this. Or have there been lies? How much history should we get into? Do they deliberately not talk about Black inventors? Copyright and the real McCoy, and even in this country, how Black people invented things and others had to get the credit for it. Of course, the way the country was, from music to inventions, a good bit of things. And this ain't supremacy. These are just facts. Has there Christian people that don't like talking about color? Has there been Black people that have invented stuff and could not get the credit for it? That's all we're talking about right now. We ain't talking about how Israelites use the law, and we just talking facts. I'll get into the recessive genes and all of that stuff. Y'all need to hear some facts. We've heard facts and we've heard lies to suppress a people. A lot of people. Roman soldiers, the Romans had slaves, but I don't know if it was like chattel slavery. Now folk out here all confused. Slaves, obey your master. The white man gave us the Bible and all this nonsense because of lies. And we know who the father of lies is. Now that's not talking about no ethnic group. In Adam all died. All that sin and comes short of the glory. I'm in my right mind with the doctrine. I know a little something, church people. But we got to talk. Let's just talk for a moment.
There's not one monument in Africa, in all of Africa. I know you're talking about Egypt. Egypt is not Africa.
Even the whole moving of borders and setting up nations, and I'll get the Federal Reserve, and we're gonna find out who was there, Jekyll Islands. We got to look at the names. Titanic, all them folks. We got to look at the names of the owners, and we got to try to trace the money. Police, the feds, the DEA want to trace the money, and then they started to wrap people up and get the RICO charges. This is organized crime. They're using their gang members and convicted felons now. They want to give you fake time for hammers, and we're gonna look at a lot of stuff. I'm probably not gonna finish today, but we're gonna look at a lot of stuff. Let's put down. Let's stop this Jesus stuff and who's saved and who's not saved just for one or two lives. Who's a heretic? Who's not a heretic? Let's just look at some history and some actions. Now the other guy said preachers ain't no historians. I'm not a historian. I'm not a preacher. We just gonna talk.
There are no great cities that were built even before the first colonization of white.
So Mansa Musa, he said get rid of Africa. That's what they wanted to do. Make Africa not like sub-Saharan. They want to make Africa like Egypt, like after the rest of Africa. They wanted to separate it. We'll look at the pyramids. We'll look at the development of the religion, and we'll look at if people have what's the guy dealing with Leopold and all that. We'll see if people have attempted to destabilize a country. We're going to talk a little bit about Haiti. Is it because they devil worshipers? Is it because people have done some things in the past? We'll talk about the Indians and everything. We're going to talk a little bit.
People coming to the shores of Africa or the slave ships, black men built nothing. No sewer system, no houses above one level, and none of them made out of stone. All of them made out of grass and wood.
Grass and wood. They didn't use stone until Europeans started building cathedrals and castles. Who would have built? Where Most Excellent? I need Most Excellent to talk about some of this right here. Let me look. Most Excellent in here. Fair use.
Black men, before the white man ever got to Africa, the worst thing that could ever happen to South Africa was when they gave it to Nelson Mandela and black folk. That was a great nation. Now, notwithstanding apartheid.
Yeah, they do that. And he said, forget apartheid, but they do got some carjacking. They do got some robberies.
Apartheid was wrong. We all know it's wrong. I'm against it. There should have been some other resolution, though, than turning it over to Nelson Mandela. Disease, AIDS, and crime is running wild in Johannesburg. They're killing one another over there. They're dying of sickness. The government is mismanaged. The people who ran the nation are now leaving the nation because black folk don't know how to run no nation. They don't know how, and we need to admit it. I know you don't like it, but you need to stop shucking and jiving. We got a problem.
Woo! Ooh, he got a large, I guess y'all would probably know that. He got a large, this is the kind of preacher Margaret Singer, absolutely, and he would know Margaret Singer plan and let them go ahead and abort them babies. Especially the way he talking, black folk ain't nothing. Him and Jesse Lee Peterson. I fear for white folk. That's what Jesse Lee Peterson said. All right, let it play. Eat my candy.
Nigeria produces oil every year, yet the children over there are hungry and pot-bellied and walking barefoot. We got a problem. You talk about the Hutus and the Tutsis. Look what's going on in Zimbabwe now with Mugabe. We got a problem, black folk. And forget about Zimbabwe and South Africa, Nigeria. Look at what y'all have done in Harlem. You can't even hold on to Harlem.
Not even Harlem.
We got a problem. Black folk don't understand the world. You can get mad with me all you want. You can say what you, but you can't prove me wrong. Now, I'm not saying this because I hate black folk. I'm saying it because I love you enough to tell the truth. And the only person going to ever help us get out of the situation is going to be God. There's something wrong with the black man's mind. There's something wrong with his mind. He does not understand the world.
Is something, most sexual, is something wrong with your mind? With Jones, and I don't know something wrong with your mind. All black folk, their mind ain't no, even if they're a doctor, they don't care. Ben Carson, his mind crazy anyway. He crazy.
I don't care if he learned medicine. He doesn't understand the world. He can't even hold on to Harlem. When he was here, he moved out. We got to talk to the Lord. People, we got to talk to God. And black women.
Now, black folk, y'all ain't been talking to God? Since y'all got over, before y'all got over, y'all ain't been talking to God? That's the question.
Shirley Chisholm, Harriet Tubman, Coretta King, one of her boys. Yeah, okay, then we got a black president. But you black women, what's wrong with y'all? Y'all gonna let that white woman, what's wrong with you black women voting for Barack? Don't you understand? It should have been a black room if you're gonna have a black president. What's wrong with you? Y'all ain't got no sense, you black women. Your men treat you like the dogs, like your dogs. They walk all over you. They make you pay the bills at home, and then the preachers pimp you in the churches and make you pay the bills. Y'all crazy black women buying these black men private jets, the tune of $50 million for a nigga to ride around in a private jet. And you talk about, look at our pastor. What's wrong with y'all women? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
Is this broad brushing? All black men are crazy. All black people ain't nothing.
And what's wrong with a black man that would take that kind of money out of a poor neighborhood and buy himself a private jet? What's wrong with y'all niggas? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you, black women? What's wrong with you voting for Barack Obama? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with y'all? You niggas are crazy. Black people, let me tell y'all something. If you don't ever hear me say preach again, they can kill me tomorrow. Let me tell you something. We're not going to ever get anywhere until we look into the mind of a black man. He doesn't think correctly. I don't care what he is. He can be a doctor. He can be an astrophysicist. The nigga ain't got no sense. You talk to him. You talk to a black man. He doesn't understand the world. He's never built anything. The most the black people have ever done, they did it here in America under white people's help. When they were in Africa, they didn't do nothing.
All right, let me stop that right there. That's out the Middle Street.
I'm not going.
He in Harlem. Let me stop that right there. A lot of people all over the world, in the church, out the church, black, white, in religious circles, political circles, talking about wokeness. A lot of people say that they want to shut down TikTok because people are out here sharing information. A lot of it, people are offended. They say it's anti-Semitic. You can talk about everybody else, but you can't talk about these people because it leads to hatred. Let me show y'all a few minutes of this right here. Let me see if let me make sure y'all can see it and hear it. Oh, see that? Good thing I clicked back over. Y'all can't even see it. All right, here we go.
Place to meet. This was soon after Holocaust. The ideas they came up with during that meeting were based on two facts, two realizations that there was a need for them to unite, for them to speak with one voice when it comes to issues pertaining to them and their country. They also realized that their unity was useless if they did not back it up with financial resources. So that is all they did. They united. They said, we may not like each other as individuals, but when it comes to their Jewishness, when it comes to Israel, they stick together like super glue. They also pulled out their financial resources. If I may stop for a second, use Israel as an example and the Jewish people. The Jewish people own this little bitty tiny little piece of land, which is a desert. There's only 15 million Jews around the world.
Now, Kanye said when he was talking about Jewish people that all he really meant was, why can't we be more like them? I remember him saying that, but let's hear her out. Is this hatred? Are they just trying to protect themselves? Never again? After the whole Holocaust thing?
Compared to Africa, we have the largest landmass on earth, richest continent on earth, and over 400 million African diaspora. The Jews, their little bitty country that is a desert, financially, they control the world, whether you like it or not. When those Americans in Charlottesville were holding their tiki torches, talking about the Jews will not replace us, you never saw a single Jewish man on television complaining. They complain with their finances. Their dollars speak for them. Jews do not go and borrow money from anybody. They fund themselves.
Did they fund themselves or did, well, let me just let it play.
They're probably the most powerful people financially.
They're probably the most powerful people financially. We're hearing that all over the place. Now, is it because of Jew hatred, because Christianity started saying the Jews killed Christ? And a lot of that persecution post-resurrection happened in Europe. But God allowed Jews or Israelites to be in captivity. And we're going to have to distinguish between the two dealing with this here. Excuse me. Now, remember what the Jewish rabbi said, because a lot of them, y'all don't talk about money and all of that stuff unless y'all collecting it in the church, but they believe in finances. They believe that they got a blessing to get wealth. A blessing, anointing is on them to get wealth as God's chosen people. Candace Owen said the rabbi wanted to destroy her financially. Well, that, and people say Jews, the majority of a good bit of people that win Nobel Peace Prizes, that's judges, that's lawyers, top surgeons in hospitals, owning jewelry stores and businesses, good-sized businesses, furniture companies, and all this stuff are Jewish people. We're going to look at the wealth. Remember the question. Do Jewish people have more wealth than the average ethnic group, Irish or Chinese person or European, Asian? All right, let me let it play.
Their money speaks for them. What did we do instead when George Floyd gets killed and many others were on the street? We make noise and that's it. If everybody that protested could put $1 and say, yes, we want to protest, but we're also going to do something about it. Now we could get somewhere. We could get somewhere. Translate those voices.
Jews were bankers in Babylon. Daniel and them, Nebuchadnezzar took the top people, the choice people. Everywhere they go, they're going to move up. Even before the Jews got here, when you got favor with God, Joseph moved up. If y'all believe the Bible story, when he got to Kemet, Egypt, he moved up. Then when drought came, his brothers and them end up going over there, and he ended up saving the whole nation, the whole clan of them. And he said, that's okay, that's okay. We use a lot in the Pentecostal church. That's okay. What y'all meant for evil. Touch your neighbor and say, God will turn it around. That's what preachers do right now.
Into finances. Let's make that bridge. Let's create that bridge. Let's take a page from the Jews. Let's understand that as Black people, we are the most endangered species on earth. Let's also make a commitment that how long are we going to allow this carnage to go on? How long are we going to continue to be stupid? It's about the finances, my brothers and sisters.
Now, this is going to be a little hard because a lot of people over here, and some people say it's because of the divide, say Africans don't like us in America. I remember an Ethiopian girl coming on and she said the white lady told her, and then her mother wanted her to stay away from black people. They just want to be on the corner and not do nothing. You come here to go to university and be a doctor. Is there a way, if y'all think of some great emergency, that blacks are dying all over the world and an endangered species? But that could just be game. That could just be nonsense. Got to unite everybody. Don't care what your religion, your spiritual belief. Unite everybody. It's an emergency. We're failing as a people, and we got to do this. Is that a trick of the enemy, Alton? Is that nonsense? Because we're part of a kingdom that's not of this world, but it's ruling in our hearts. So as opposed to do a business with a black person, Alton, you'd rather do business with a born-again person, keeping the money within the kingdom. Tell me your thoughts.
If we do not bring our finances together, if we do not understand that my $85 a month for a year is an investment in not only myself, but my children, my grandchildren, and generations to come, then who are we? What is the solution? Understand that the brain drain out of Africa started over 400 years ago with the children of Africa who were being taken out of Africa as slaves. Remember, when they were choosing which Africans to take out as slaves, they chose the fittest, the smartest, that who they felt would sustain and survive the rigorous journey across the Atlantic, followed by those who have left Africa in recent years in search of greener pastures, some running away from famine and wars. But the end result is Africans around the world are building other nations while we are allowing our beloved continent to languish or be exploited. The colonizers have been in Africa for centuries. All they have succeeded at doing is building infrastructure designed to do nothing but extract resources out of Africa. That's all they have done, and that's all they plan to continue to do.
Now, when maybe it's just people. Of course, we've had groups and regimes and stuff, and maybe you just put your man on. Maybe just put your family and your friends on and do your thing. What's that man named? The sisters run around hiring everybody to do her own thing. They're trying to get rid of her. Listen to Alton first. Money alone is not going to fix our problems. Black people got plenty of money. Type of one if y'all agree with that.
We're the only ones who can change that paradigm. And that means the African diaspora must wake up. That means the African diaspora must understand what is really going on and not understand Africa from the eyes of the colonizers, from the eyes of the media that have chosen to paint Africa as a diseased and dying continent in need of rescue.
Is that true? Did early missionaries, let's talk about the media alone. Some people have charged the media with not showing pictures of some serial killers or robbers when they're white, but always showing the picture of a black person. There's bias in the media, even the way they present things. White kids tearing up the place after the football game, running a whole muck on the light pole, flipping police cars. White folk at a football game. And the media would use certain words for them, but then savages when it's some black kids tearing up the mall. Oh, that's being petty. That's not so.
Let's understand our Africa as African diaspora. Let's understand our role. It's very difficult for African businessmen in Malawi, in Botswana, to think continental. They're struggling to make a living in that little bitty country with all the restrictions and the difficulties of reaching to the country next door, to then ask that same businessman to think continental. But the people who can help with that bridge, the people who are already integrated in a way, people who can come to Africa with an integrated mind, are the children of Africa in the diaspora. Like I said before, $1 million diaspora with $1,000, that's $1 billion. $1 billion is a lot of money. And then you take that 1 billion, let's do it a year in and year out. Financial resources, we need to pull our funds together. We need to begin to look at our continent as a continent. What do the market women in Africa need today? How do we begin to make it possible for a market woman in Nigeria to sell to the market woman in Kenya what she cannot find in Kenya, but is in Nigeria? How do we begin to loosen those trade barriers? It's a level one. I'm hoping that the African Continental Free Trade Area can begin to address those issues. But looking at what we have right now, when you see countries still blocking borders, still making it difficult for Africans to travel freely around the continent, all of our challenges, if you begin to understand them, they all go back to the mind. We must open up our Africa. We need a single African currency. It's just that simple. We can't.
Excuse me, a single African currency. All right. Alton, is this just the nonsense? This is more of that Black Power nonsense. Now it's finances. Back to what Met was saying, we don't want to look or deal with some of these problems. Because you said money ain't the thing. You said black folk got money. All right, Africa's known for their scamming. Oh, yeah, especially Nigeria, yeah. Now you got a lot of that in India, too. Pakistan, them calls, and they getting sophisticated with it. Amazon, and you giving up card numbers, and they going to tell them how much they got from the lady. And told the lady, oh, you got to go. This is an enterprise, a rental car company. You got to go and get a gift card from the store. She went ahead and did it, got beat for $800. And we're hearing stuff like that all the time. Listen to this now. All this sounds good, but what army will support this? As I'm sure these in power will just let this happen right now. That's a fact. Yeah, but we're going to talk about that. If it's not God and Jewish people are chosen, and it's not the devil, how did they get their wealth? Being hated where they go. Y'all say everywhere y'all go, y'all got to get hated. Y'all say y'all was the black Jews in Spain and Portugal and Africa and Europe. Y'all was black. Y'all were hated everywhere you go. Went. They couldn't do nothing but go to Africa and go be around Jews because nobody liked them. So they went around their own people. So they found this lady selling silk, and she brought that back to Europe, and now it's exotic stuff. Jewish people over there getting on, just like they say the Asians. Asian people hooked up, and they sending containers back, and these other ones they selling here and doing what they do. They're all connected with their people. Alton talking, he said, you definitely got to establish a military first. Y'all don't even like guns, so we ain't going to do too much with that. And then when some black folk get some money, get some guns, Idi Amin in them, they say, y'all go crazy. Not like other people, Pol Pot and them, getting killed millions of their own people. Look at this. Answer: planes, vehicle, firepower, intelligence, counterintelligence. They have none of that. Now, some people say, I'm an American living in America, and I should be for America. There was a time black folk, Farrakhan and them was talking about a nation within a nation. Y'all gonna get this stuff and y'all gonna arm yourselves? Others just say it's gonna give you more leverage power. We can use our leveraging power. Like they said, the Jews were out there saying, when them people running around talking about in Virginia, talking about Jews will not replace us, them Jews ain't come out with a counter march. Sometimes you got to move in silence. I'm here for the comments. Now, was this some more of the Black Power thing, but it's just not spiritual now? She's talking about money. Because they'll be, oh, we got a savior. She got a great mind. And we like the beginning stages of forming something.
Talk about the AFCFTA and still have 44 different currencies. We can't talk about a single Africa if we still have to carry a passport to travel around our country. We can't talk about progress within Africa if we still are having to fight all these various wars in the different countries as little bitty different military. Africa needs to truly begin to look at what are the needs of the continent. How do we move 1.27 billion people? Let's have a strategy for that. How do we feed 1.27 billion people? Let's have a strategy for that. How do we house? How do we clothe 1.27 billion people? That thinking outside the box is what's really going to give us the results that we desire. But as long as Togo is strategizing for Togo, as long as Djibouti is strategizing for Djibouti, we are defeated before the game even begins. And that's exactly where they want us to be. That's exactly where they put us with the Berlin Conference. And that's why it saddens me to think of 130 years later since the Berlin Conference, we're still suffering from the effects of the Berlin Conference. So again, our challenges, while there are many, there are challenges that we can address. But for us to be able to address these simple challenges, like border issues, need for a passport, single currency, single monetary policy, single stock exchange, basic things that we should just do automatically. It goes back to the mind because we get so divided. The French are coming in. If you're Francophone, so to speak, why do we even call ourselves?
Does Africa and has Africa been easily pimped by other nations? Africa's the valley of dry bones. Oh, not Israel, Africa now. Okay. Oh, they got to get organized before they start reaching out to us, Alton? Okay, all right.
As Francophone. If we're Anglophone, look at ECOWAS and the ECO in West Africa. They can't come to an agreement on something that is so obvious and so terribly needed. I don't want to sound like a broken record. Our problem goes back to the mind. Our ability to solve our problems, it starts with the mind.
So the mind ain't right, like Pastor Manning said. That's what Alton's saying. It seems like that's what she's saying. Or is this all game? Africa is the same place that Europe has been in. Bunch of folk acting crazy.
I'm sorry to say, but it is saddening, it is disappointing, it is frustrating. And as a mother, you look at it and say, my children, what happened? Why can't we wake up from this slumber? Why can't we wake up and say enough is enough? We got to come together. We got to trust each other. And we've got to protect and defend each other against these invaders. How long are we going to continue to mistrust each other, to not believe in each other? How long are we going to continue to be stupid and continue to do the same things over and over and expecting a different result? Albert Einstein called it insanity. I would hope we can all look in the mirror and say insanity no more. Prior to independence, if you were colonized by the British, those are British companies. If we're colonized by the Portuguese, by the Germans, by the French, those are the major employers in your country. At independence, they just lay low, but they've never left. They're still mining. They're still running most of the industry. 75% of the minerals being traded at the London Stock Exchange are coming from Africa. So we need to strategize and see how we can get into manufacturing, get into mining, those pillars of development that are currently owned by the same people who have been oppressing us.
Why y'all think they got them pirates out there trying to get them ships? But they got the government, out there. A lot of them got Blackwater private, whatever them private agencies with long guns. They got the water cannons and everything. But them pirates trying to get, they say we need some of that money. Them containers, what's in them containers? Too much money passing by here without anybody, and if our people getting anything. Let me see what Leo said. She is missing the point. Infrastructure is the key. If countries focus more on modernized infrastructure, it would help with sanitation, and tourism will bring money in and everything. It'll help all around. I agree with that. Now, what about the curse, though? It seems like the curses is on Africa. You see how the curses work? They messed up. God has cursed them. I see nobody answered the question on how did they get like that? Talking about the Jewish people, y'all saying they're so rich and powerful and everywhere they go, captivity or not. Let me see. Elder Keith, what's good? Let me know if you want to jump on. That's so true, but corruption really affects some of those countries. Yeah, black people getting power, they're gonna get millionaires, they're gonna buy Rolex, they're gonna be in Dubai, they're gonna put their own people on and bleed the money too. Then somebody gonna vote and somebody gonna get somebody out, and they're gonna be fighting, and it's gonna be, and then powers that be gonna come in there if they're gonna benefit, and they're gonna say they're gonna set up a governmental system, and then it's still a puppet. It's a lot. Oh, that's why so many Africans believe they're Israel. He said that is the curses of Deuteronomy. Okay. All right, let me let it go so y'all can hear this, and then we'll get into how Jewish people got their wealth. Is it because of our hatred that band them together? Other people say, well, nations have hated us, and did we band together? I like what Alton said. He said black folk got money. Yeah, maybe it's what they spending it on, but somebody got some money. They always talking about I guess that's why people want to deal with the church. They say the money, the church runs across a little bit of money, but nobody ever really get on them basketball players. Would Oprah move in a certain direction, or she's gonna move with the powers that be? She's gonna move with them folk getting money because she's part of that now. They don't look at her as black, they look at her as power. And we don't understand that.
How do we strategize to get ourselves into ownership of the pillars of development? Because we can talk all we want, but if we don't get into these sectors, we're always going to be noisemakers. I like to agree with Professor Lumumba when he says he doesn't blame the Chinese. The Chinese are taking advantage of our Africa because we are missing in action. I was talking to the managing director for the Zambian Development Agency. He said, Ambassador, every day I go to work, I have Chinese lined up outside my office. Not even Zambians are lining up, let alone Africans or African diaspora. So what are we supposed to do? We need development in our countries, but our people are not coming in to take advantage of the opportunities. That's one. The other issue is a lot of these contracts are contractor funded, and that brings us to issue problem number 2. So not only are we not organized in these meaningful associations, we also don't have the funding. Because if we were to be organized meaningfully, we could then pull our resources together. So we're defeated because we don't have the funding to participate in the bidding process for these contracts. So where are the opportunities? The opportunities start with the realization.
Leo said, has Africa ever been united? Africa's too big. Was Europe all united, or did they different countries get together or with the church and made moves throughout Europe?
That where we are defeated is unity of purpose. Having associations that we can pull our funds together so we can realize that when we begin to compete financially, we can begin to take over those pillars of development within our countries. The way things are today, it is very difficult for us as Africans to get into those areas, those sectors, those pillars of development, because we are defeated financially. We must understand that the one thing that was denied Black people around the globe, no matter where you see us, it could be in Papua New Guinea, it could be in Brazil, in Africa, in the United States, in Europe, in China. The one thing that we were denied is economic liberation. That was intentional. How then do we regroup and build our own financial nucleus? Because as long as we're still having an idea and going to them for funding, we're still enslaved. So it goes back to, how do we create those meaningful relationships? It goes back to what we are doing as ADDI.
It's an honor to interview my mother. And if you know my mother, then you know that my mother is Ambassador Quill. One of the things that I remember.
Okay, she's hot. She's jumping right now. Let me pull some of these. Let me pull some of these comments up. Look at this right here. The systems allow individual success, not collective. So a few basketball players, rappers become millionaires, but they don't want all of the people. So they control that. They don't want everybody to get money. That's why people can highlight success stories. Met said, I met an African at work and told him about my DNA. His response was, wow, nobody ever wanted to be African. Yeah, I can't lie about that. Nobody want to be African, want to be Moors, want to be everything but everything. No dirty, what do you have them called? No dirty, filthy African. No way, Jose. We'd rather be everything else. But why are they, and when I say they, I mean Jewish people, connected with wealth? That's how people look at them. And it wasn't just before the United States of America. Like Meg said, they were down with businesses and getting money in Babylon, in Spain, and Portugal later on. The Jewish secret to wealth: in God we trust. Full movie. That's one. Jews are making a lot of money in business. Here's why. How Jews view money differently than everyone else. The Jewish family owns America. Y'all say they own the world. I don't know how they're doing that with billionaires all in China and ain't thinking about them, but that's a whole nother thing. In Dubai and everywhere else, billionaires, folk getting money. Maybe it's people in America that's confused and think Jews have power all over the planet, or to control wars and everything all over the planet. We'll get into them families and, banking and we'll get into all of that. The secrets to become rich, I learned from the Jewish people. Out of the millionaires and billionaires in this country, are a good majority of them Jewish people. Jewish wealth secrets: stop praying to God and start getting answers. The secret to becoming truly rich: rabbis are teaching this. Kosher money. richest Jews in the world, Jewish billionaires. Oh, we might have to look at that one right there. This Jewish woman secretly rules the world. Why are there so many Jewish billionaires? Is this, and they got Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, even Drake. They're programmed to be rich. 10 reasons why Jewish people are richer and how to leverage these financial freedoms. Are Jews rich? Unpack. Let's try this one right here. Thank God for no.
Are Jews rich? First off, if you're here for crazy stuff like lizard people and the Illuminati, you've come to the wrong place. We're not doing the whole anti-Semitic canard about global conspiracies thing, okay? We're trying to ask and answer a serious question. And it's a question with big implications. On the one hand, the idea of Jewish wealth is a source of great admiration, a source of philo-Semitism among the people of the world. On the other hand, Jewish wealth is exactly the kind of thing that fuels anti-Semitism of the worst kind. What's crazy is that a sentence like, Jews are leaders of industry, or Jews run the biggest companies, you could easily imagine that same sentence said by a rabid anti-Semite and an admirer of the Jewish people. That line between that anti and philo-Semitism, it can be really hard to figure out. Let's start by going back to basics. Are Jews actually rich? First off, let's just check the numbers. For the purposes of this discussion, we'll focus on American Jews. According to the 2020 Pew Research Center report on Jewish Americans,
and Pew Research is okay now. I'll wait with that. Let's see how many black Jews are on the list.
The answer is that Jews are at least a little richer than average. Half of all Jews surveyed reported a six-figure income in comparison with a third of Americans overall who reported a similar income. And that disparity gets wider as you move up. A quarter of American Jews report family incomes over $200,000, a level that just 4% of Americans overall reach. Before we go any further, it should be noted that Jews are also poor. 10% of Jews live on incomes below $30,000. In Israel, by the way, 17.7% of its Jewish population lives below the poverty line. But clearly, Jews are also statistically overrepresented among America's wealthy. What is it about the Jewish people that makes them so adept at success? The answer, like most actual answers to complex topics, is not so simple. One major factor is education. The commandments and laws of the Torah are central to Judaism, and Jews have been carefully reading the Torah to follow its laws for millennia. Well, not every Jew. As the Jews interpreted and applied the laws, they wrote the Mishnah, then the Talmud, and then more and more books of law and commentaries. To be sure, not all Jews were scholars, but a heavy emphasis and great prestige was placed on knowledge of the law and education. And as a result, virtually every time and place that Jews lived, they tended to reach a higher level of literacy and numeracy than the surrounding non-Jewish populations. Now add to that urbanization. Once the Jewish people were mostly exiled from the land of Israel in the 1st and 2nd century CE, they congregated into villages, towns, and later cities across the diaspora. Why? Well, the Jewish religion is a communal one. A standard community would require a synagogue within walking distance and traditionally a quorum of at least 10 adult males for prayer. It would need a well-maintained mikvah for observance of purity laws, a rabbi to decide matters of law, a butcher.
Now listen to this. Listen to the black Israelites in here. They're saying this is straight propaganda. Y'all say Jews got money. This is nonsense. They're wealth from the slave trade. So how did they get money for ships and everything? Queen just gave it to them? How did they get money to start the slave trade? They had, and like Meg said, we got records of them getting money in Babylon. So it can't be the slave trade nonsense. They already had to have gotten money and been doing shaky stuff in Europe to borrow from the kings and them borrowing from them running them off and keeping their money, taking their jewelry, and they were already doing something to get money. We gotta look at, we gotta really figure this out. God, the devil, who wicked. We gotta figure this out.
For food, a scribe for contracts and ritual texts. In short, Jews need.
Clearly, all of this is not propaganda. There's a lot of Jewish lawyers, a lot of Jewish businessmen for a reason.
Other Jews to properly practice Judaism. And more than that, there were external factors driving Jewish urbanization. Jews in Christian Europe and the Muslim Middle East were second-class citizens. Rules and laws were almost always placed on where they could live. And for political reasons, they were often placed nearby centers of power.
Now, why? They say, now look at this now. Now, how can you come from a place of second position to rule in the world as y'all are claiming? Banking started far back with the Crusades. America give them millions. Jews were already dealing with business and getting money before America, believe it or not. They talk about this in Europe. Now I'm here for comments. It's propaganda. Oh no, what am I doing?
Century Paris could go to the market and buy wool from texts. In short, Jews need other Jews to properly practice Judaism. And more than that, there were external factors driving Jewish urbanization. Jews in Christian Europe and the Muslim Middle East were second-class citizens. Rules and laws were almost always placed on where they could live. And for political reasons, they were often placed nearby centers of power. These large towns were, like larger cities today, the nexus points of knowledge, trade, and wealth. These closely associated networks would have spread across continents in cities large enough to support them, creating a natural network for trade. You still with me? Let's put it all together. I'll say it like this. An average Jew in 12th century Paris could go to the market and buy wool from farmers. He could then travel to far-off Islamic Cairo, and even in a time when Christians and Muslims were not especially hospitable to each other, meet with someone who spoke, wrote, and read a similar language and abided by the same Jewish economic laws. There he could sell the wool and return with silk and spices, along with contracts for more of the same. In this way, Jews would have already been ahead of the curve in establishing finance and trade routes that would have cut out the various middlemen required for a German or Frenchman to do the same thing. There's another important contributing factor to Jewish wealth that had to do with their unique position in Catholic society.
Hold on a minute. Let me see, because this only makes sense in light of history, but there's always a conspiracy. This is the official version propaganda. What really happened? How the Jews got money? They took all of y'all ID, the Black Hebrew Israelite ID, and made y'all the slaves, and then they started working with the Romans. And then they formed into the Catholic Church, and the other ones formed into Rabbinic Judaism, and they ran amok in Europe. This is the official version. Give us the unofficial versions of how Jewish people got money, and for those that y'all say that they rule the world.
Early church law, like Jewish law, forbade lenders from charging interest on loans, but only between Christians. Jews were exempt from the ban on money lending and therefore benefited from a super ironic monopoly that lasted for a few centuries. Basically, they were banned from lots of jobs, but allowed to do this, and therefore they made money. So in the 12th century, when kings and princes needed large amounts of money for wars and other risky ventures, they went to Jews. Jews were so important in this role that they had a special distinction in medieval law as the servi cameri regius. That's definitely not how you pronounce that.
Servi.
So the church didn't want to be involved, like we said before on this channel, in usury. So that limited getting money to just and loan, borrowing, and lending money. They just, and scripture says that. I'm gonna leave that alone, though. I'm gonna leave that part alone. You'll be the head and not the tail, and you'll lend and not borrow. I'm gonna leave that part alone because y'all said they fake. But everybody somewhere in the Bible fits some type of blessing or fits some type of curse, but y'all don't look at it like that, so we can't We can't discuss that right there. That's what I said. Finances were all they were allowed to do. So that's what I'm saying. So before America, now if y'all want to say that, and they financed, everybody said, then they built big ships and got involved in traveling and selling slaves, because if they were selling silks, if they were selling gold, if they were selling everything else, all right, that'll work. That'll go somewhere. But we got to go backwards tracing the money. How did they get money from the gate? All right, let's see.
Camerae Regis.
Servants of the royal chamber. Basically, they were owned by the king and the king alone. Anyone who studied Jewish life in the Middle Ages knows it wasn't all great. Jews may have benefited from the king's protection, who valued their contributions to the economy and especially their status as a source of tax revenue. But as important as credit was to these developing societies, Jews were always at risk of popular peasant uprisings known as pogroms. And those were the good times. Major nobles in debt could stir up popular resentment and initiate violent anti-Jewish riots just to get out of repaying loans. Kings who owed their Jewish subjects too much could and did simply default on their loans, kick the Jews out, and confiscate their property, and then reinvite them after they used up all their funds and needed more loans. Sound ridiculous? The kings of France did it twice. First in 1182, then in 1306, before finally kicking them out for good in 1394. So even in those places and times where Jews were allowed to own land, it often proved a poor investment if Jews were summarily expelled. Having a skill or profession you could take with you was often a much more valuable source of wealth. By necessity, Jews excelled in skilled labor in fields of knowledge like medicine and finance. They traded in precious stones and metals that could be easily moved, and they developed an entrepreneurial spirit, specializing in high-risk, high-reward ventures and previously unknown ways of generating wealth. Again, let's be very clear here. Not all Jews were rich, and even among those wealthy few, many who bet big lost their fortunes and often their lives. But over the centuries, many became very wealthy, and inevitably, they reinvested that wealth in more education and higher standards for communal living. By the time modern secular nation states emerged, Jews, so long on the outside looking in, were well equipped to take a role in government, academics, and finance. And indeed, many did at significant rates. In the free and capitalist society of early America, Jews thrived like never before. So are Jews wealthy? Statistically, yes. While many are poor, on average, Jews are wealthier. Why? If you want hateful and myopic views on the matter, check out the comment section below. But if you want a genuinely thoughtful and historically reasoned answer, it's because Jews value education, gravitate to urban environments where economic opportunity is greater, and have developed a culture that values entrepreneurship. And just one more point I want to make, and perhaps the most important.
Now, that's not conspiratorial enough for these folk in here. The haters, the Klan, because there's white folk that hate Jews too now. The Klan and those people, they got to make up stuff. They meet in the cemetery late at night, and they said they're gonna take over the world, and they drink kids' blood to get their power to have a mind to build wealth because they sold their soul to the devil. Maybe it's just the wickedness of the church that kept them from everything else, and they were forced into it. It made plenty of sense to me. They were moved an area to have communal, to have a synagogue. You got 10 Jewish men. They got to have a synagogue, so they quit the big synagogues, and their homes and everything is built around that, and their schools and their businesses around the synagogue, because that's part of their life. Even the secular Jews, they're going to mingle with their people. And they built communities. A lot of them had trades. A lot of them was sewing. A lot of them was into all type of business. He even said high risk. I'll pull up YouTube right now. You got Jews buying Rolexes. They'll make one sale. They had money to invest. They worked their way up high risk. And they'll sell one watch, buy one watch, and go down there and sell it to somebody else, make $3,500, $1,800. They'll flip one and then go back and do some other stuff. And they'll go back and forth doing this all day, every day, selling watches. They start off with different things. Some of them got their specialty with certain areas and what they like.
We've been using terms like success and material wealth as if they are synonymous, but it's a comparison that loses so much of the uniqueness of Jewish life. The ancient sage Ben Zoma asks, who is wealthy? And answers, one who is happy with what one has. The Jews didn't congregate into cities or focus on education to become rich. They did those things to preserve what they had, their way of life and their Torah. From Moses to Maimonides to Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, the names that come down to us through time are not famous merchants and moneylenders. They're martyrs and mystics and scholars. They're the preservers of our tradition and the leaders of our communities. So perhaps the greatest answer to the question, why are Jews rich, is because we define success as so much more than just wealth. Huge thank you to Henry Abramson for guiding us on this video. And
they talking about Professor Henry now. Y'all got beef with him. He talk about the black Jew, but that's not enough for y'all. That's not enough. Let me see if y'all can see this. I'll look to see if it's other people, but in all actuality, there's a lot of people that connect Jewish people with money. Y'all didn't answer. There are more Jewish millionaires than any other ethnic group. And look at this thing and see what's going on. Maybe we'll find a conspiracy that people
and revealed to them many secrets, one of which was the secret to wealth. Throughout the ages, the world could not help but admire the Jewish people for their business prowess.
Now, y'all ain't gonna like that. I can tell already y'all ain't gonna like this. Because y'all think it's magic. Like the Midas touch. It could be a blessing from God. But y'all say they're not the people. So we got to say it could be the devil. God in this world is the wicked one, and the wicked one, they sold their souls. Let's just keep going.
Admittedly, in some generations, the admiration turned to hatred and became an excuse to commit unspeakable atrocities. Their greatest critics will say that they control the banks, the media, and the financial markets. Is it all just a coincidence? There is no denying that this ancient people possess a secret to the accumulation of riches that has defied the rule of nature. Alas, what is their great secret?
Okay, all right, let's examine this now. My man said that they got Zionists that go around these countries and infiltrate these governments. Zionists existed in the 1400s during Babylonian captivity. How old is Zionism? I thought Zionism was birthed in the 1800s. Late 1800s, early 1900. Then they turn around and they got Israel in the 1948, and then it goes, oh, we can't blame Zionism if they've been getting money. No, this math ain't math, and we gotta put this conspiracy down and let's figure this thing out.
I've always been fascinated with money. Ever since I was a kid, I remember that I had this picture book when I was younger, that inside of it, instead of putting photos, I would put bills, $5 bills, $10 bills. As I grew up, I would read any business book that I could get my hands on. And I'd also listen to any positive thinking guru that I could find. I guess you could say I've always been a student of money. There is a secret.
Do some groups tend to like some things above another? Somebody said in Asia, them people, they don't got their kids watching silly TikToks. Say what you want. There's some black folk here. There's some black folk in Africa. Woo, your kids could dance. I see y'all videos 100 million, 200 million. Beyonce now got choreographers and going over there and studying the dances in Africa. Y'all inventing dancing. Y'all on top with some things. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they got the Jewish people got their little kids thinking about money and investment. And I know we used to play Monopoly, but it's just different. Maybe the things we like and our kids' idols, like the Red Girl and Carly B, like, oh, they don't like what Candace always say that. And the hoes, because I see our little kids acting like hoes and whining and carrying on in kindergarten, and y'all putting it all on TikTok. Oh, look how my baby dance. And maybe that's what we're into. We got a lot of people in our neighborhood that could rap. Everybody don't make it, but everybody want to be a rapper because that's what we into, play basketball. A lot of people in the hood know how to play basketball. Serious players. That's like when they had the Ruckers uptown in Harlem. Where real NBA dudes would come down and mess with them in the Ruckers because it's serious business. So maybe we just focus on other stuff and then we mad. I don't know.
To wealth that the Jewish people have known for thousands of years. It was hidden inside of the Bible and was not ready to come out until this very last generation. You see, we're all ruled by one power, by one force, by one creator, and we all are subject to his laws. And when we know how to apply that to our lives, we're able to unleash wealth that we never thought possible. The Jewish secret to wealth is charity, in Hebrew called tzedakah.
Tzedakah. The big key is the tzedakah. Giving the money actually gives us back more. Because I prioritize giving, God prioritizes me.
The key secret is my charity that I give.
Tzedakah plays an intricate role in my everyday life and decisions that I make within my life.
Wait a minute, giving it shall be given unto you, pressed down, good measure, shaking and running over, shall men give unto you. But hey, wait a minute, it can't be that simple. Let me let this play.
Si quieres ganar, tienes que dar.
Generous people are more successful people.
Zohar says, open up for me a vessel like the eye of a needle, and I'll fit an elephant through it.
Now this goes against all logic. According to simple math, if a person has 10 of something and they take one and give it away, they're left with 9.
Imagine a pie that you have in front of you. Okay, someone gives you a beautiful apple pie that you love, but that's the amount of money that you've earned during the year, that you worked hard for, that you've sweated with. You've got receivables and payables and staff and finding clients. We're sweating for our money, and that money is that pie. The idea of giving away 1 or 2 slices away, Hashem has ways to give you back those 2 slices and more.
What we're talking about here does not go according to nature. We are talking about a secret code that the creator of the universe himself embedded into the fabric of the universe. We're not talking about karma, that if you do good, you're going to get good. No. We're talking about a hack in the matrix.
Oh boy, now they want you to get this drill. This is I don't believe you folk got money, got the money they got, just giving everything away.
auf gesunde Sachen, fröhliche Sachen, in jonne Teiro, mit Zwiseo, mit der Simcha, v'tuv levo.
When I came home from yeshiva and went back to work, the rabbi from my synagogue came and he asked for a pledge for the following year. He asked me for $18,000, which is roughly $1,500 a month. And it's what I owed at that time for charity. So I gladly said yes. By the end of the year, I fulfilled the pledge, but again, didn't think too much about it. That next year, I left my family business and I went to go start my own company from absolutely scratch. Right before Rosh Hashanah, the rabbi came to my new office to pledge me as he does every year. And when he walked into the room, his face turned white. He was used to seeing me in a big fancy office with a big mahogany desk with a big corner view. And that year, he walked in, and I was alone in a dingy office, sitting on a $10 Walmart chair and those white folding tables.
This is that's propaganda. That's propaganda right there. That's propaganda right there. I'm going to let me look at some of the history. Let me look at some of the history of the money. That's what I want to look at.
But I'll also be telling you about other Jewish families in America that have managed to exert so much influence over the lives of you and I over several generations. Goldman Sachs family. In 19th century Bavaria, amidst the lush landscapes and quaint villages, a story of ambition, friendship, and financial prowess took shape. It all began.
All right, Bavaria. All right, the home of the birthplace of the Illuminati. We might be going somewhere now. Let's go. Where my conspiracy people at?
And with a man named Marcus Goldman, whose journey ultimately led to the birth of a financial dynasty that shaped the very fabric of America's economy. Young Marcus Goldman was born into an Ashkenazi Jewish family on December 9th, 1821 in Trappstadt. His father, Wolf Goldman, was a humble farmer and cattle dealer. The Goldmans were hard-working, but they dreamed of something more. As the winds of change swept through Europe during the revolutions of 1848, Marcus Goldman made a daring decision. He decided to cross the vast Atlantic and embark on the treacherous journey to America, the land of opportunity. Upon his arrival in America, Marcus Goldman's name was transformed into its Americanized version. He started as a peddler, navigating the bustling streets with a horse-drawn cart. It was a humble beginning for a man with grand aspirations, but he was determined to carve out his own path. In Philadelphia, Marcus Goldman's life took an unexpected turn. Fate led him to rent a room in a boarding house, the very room once occupied by his old friend, Joseph Sachs. This reunion marked the beginning of a lifelong partnership. In 1869, Marcus Goldman set his sights on New York City, the epicenter of American finance. On Pine Street in Lower Manhattan, he founded Marcus Goldman & Company as a broker specializing in IOUs. His tenacity was soon evident as he handled transactions worth millions annually. The turning point came in 1882 when Marcus invited his son-in-law Samuel Sachs to join him in the business. With this move, the firm's name changed to M. Goldman & Sachs. The family's combined efforts ignited a financial boom, handling tens of millions in transactions annually and amassing significant capital. For nearly half a century, the Goldman Sachs partnership thrived. In 1885, Marcus introduced his son Henry and son-in-law Ludwig Dreyfus as junior partners, and the firm adopted its enduring name, Goldman Sachs & Company. Growth was exponential, culminating in their membership in the New York Stock Exchange in 1896. As Marcus Goldman retired, he left the firm in the capable hands of his son Henry Goldman and son-in-law Samuel Sachs. In 1904, the next generation stepped in as Samuel's sons, Arthur and Paul, joined the firm fresh from their studies at Harvard University. The dynasty has continued to flourish. The second generation of the Goldman Sachs family was entrusted with preserving and expanding the legacy forged by Marcus Goldman. Over the next 3 decades, Henry's leadership and innovative thinking helped transform Goldman Sachs into a leading financial institution. His willingness to embrace calculated risks led the firm to explore new frontiers. He ventured into industrial financings, pioneering the concept of using a company's earnings potential to attract long-term equity investments. This innovative approach led to the successful public offerings of iconic companies like Sears, Roebuck & Company, Underwood Typewriter Company, B.F. Goodrich, and F.W. Woolworth. The Goldman Sachs legacy extended beyond Henry's generation. The third generation saw the family firmly entrenched in the American financial elite. These descendants, guided by the principles instilled by their forebears, continued to shape the destiny of Goldman Sachs, and by extension, the American financial landscape. The Goldman Sachs family story is a quintessential American narrative of resilience, innovation, and the pursuit of excellence. It is a testament to the enduring spirit of immigrant families who, against all odds, carved out their place in the fabric of America. Goldman Sachs was at the forefront of financial innovation. It pioneered the use of commercial paper as a financing tool for entrepreneurs. This innovative approach provided much-needed capital to emerging businesses and set the stage for the firm's future prominence. In 1896, Goldman Sachs made its presence felt on a global stage by joining the New York Stock Exchange. This marked a significant milestone in the firm's journey toward becoming a powerhouse in the financial world. The early 1900s saw Goldman Sachs make bold moves into the world of initial public offerings. In 1906, the firm played a crucial role in taking Sears, Roebuck & Company public, a landmark event in the financial world. This achievement was just the beginning as Goldman Sachs continued to lead various high-profile initial public offerings, including Microsoft in 1986. The firm's influence extended beyond American shores. In 1986, Goldman Sachs expanded its operations by joining the London and Tokyo stock exchanges. This international expansion marked a new era for the firm. Throughout the 20th century, Goldman Sachs remained a force in the financial world. It played a pivotal role in various mergers and acquisitions, became a pioneer in electronic investment research distribution, and introduced innovative financial products such as deep discount bonds. The firm's leadership focused on adapting to changing markets and maintaining its commitment to excellence. In the early 2000s, Goldman Sachs navigated the bursting of the dot-com bubble, managing to weather the storm while others faltered. The firm played pivotal roles in advising technology companies, including Microsoft and Yahoo. This not only generated substantial revenue, but also solidified its reputation as a go-to investment bank for tech companies. Their influence in Silicon Valley has been instrumental in shaping the tech industry's financial landscape. Goldman Sachs's involvement in technology is far-reaching. Owning iconic properties like Rockefeller Center showcases the family's foray into real estate. These investments not only serve as valuable assets, but also underscore their financial clout. Such high-profile properties have become synonymous with the Goldman Sachs name and reflect their significant presence in the real estate market. In the mid-2010s, Goldman Sachs ventured into consumer finance with the launch of GS Bank and Marcus by Goldman Sachs. This move signaled a shift from catering solely to institutional investors and corporations to address the financial needs of everyday consumers. By offering personal loans and savings accounts, they diversified their portfolio and tapped into a broader client base. Other than their comprehensive investment banking, Goldman Sachs acts as primary dealers in the U.S. Treasury securities market. They play a crucial role in managing the nation's debt. Offering clearing and custodian services, Goldman Sachs ensures secure and efficient transactions. They also serve as market makers. They ensure liquidity in various markets, including equities and currencies. Moreover, their expertise extends to brokering a wide array of financial products, from credit to mortgage-backed securities. With fingers in many financial pies, Goldman Sachs has played an integral role in shaping America's economic landscape. They've been involved in landmark financial transactions, advised on critical economic policies, and helped businesses thrive. This involved...
All right, let's see, that's Goldman Sachs. That's one family. No, they're going to talk about a few other families. Now, if they were forced into banking from Europe and the Catholic Church said, oh, they no good, and forced them into it, and they would loan money, usury, the church ain't want to be involved in that. We could see that for generations and generations, if they've been telling their family's history, they understood that that's one of the few trades that they can do. And we'll get into the invention of Hollywood too, but let's keep going.
Involvement positions them at the heart of the nation's economic engine. The family's wealth accumulation isn't just impressive, it's staggering. Their multifaceted approach to wealth creation, from investment banking to technology ventures, has made them a financial powerhouse. Their ability to consistently generate profits and navigate complex financial markets has contributed significantly to their wealth. However, the Goldman Sachs family is not only known for the accumulation of wealth, they have also left a significant mark on the world of philanthropy. Their charitable endeavors have made a substantial impact on various causes and organizations. One of the notable aspects of the Goldman Sachs family's philanthropy is their commitment to education. Over time, they have generously donated to educational institutions, funding scholarships, research programs, and infrastructure development. These contributions have not only improved the quality of education, but have also opened doors to countless opportunities for students. Healthcare is another area where the family has made substantial contributions. Their support for medical research and the establishment of healthcare facilities has saved lives and advanced the field of medicine. Their donations have funded cutting-edge research that has led to breakthroughs in the treatment of diseases and medical conditions. The family's philanthropic efforts extend to cultural and artistic endeavors as well. They have been patrons of the arts, supporting museums, theaters, and cultural institutions. Their contributions have helped preserve and promote the rich tapestry of American culture and heritage. Another aspect of the Goldman Sachs family's philanthropy is their dedication to addressing social and environmental challenges. They have actively supported initiatives related to poverty alleviation, environmental conservation, and social justice. Through their charitable foundations, they have funded projects that aim to create a more equitable and sustainable world. What sets the Goldman Sachs family apart is not just the magnitude of their donations, but their hands-on involvement in philanthropic activities. They have taken a proactive approach, working closely with the organizations they support and actively participating in the causes they believe in. The Goldman Sachs family has built a lasting legacy that extends far beyond their business achievements. This has helped shape their reputation as individuals and as a family deeply invested in the betterment of society.
Now that betterment of society, getting money, got them poor kids out there. Listen to this. He said, sound like, I'm actually ashamed of and for us. Why? Because we believe the narrative that's put out there, and this is really lies. This is why. Why? Y'all speak on it. Why? Because this isn't the real history. Because we got to trace the bread and what happened. We're going to look at their role in the slave trade. But they had to get some bread before they got going real good. I heard Jay-Z say, he said black people on something. He said he used the N-word. Black people think you get money automatically. You the Illuminati, you a devil, you had to sell your soul or something. You think that's part of black folk money? We think the love of money, and we confuse anytime somebody get money, they a devil. They're a Freemason, they part of the Illuminati. Would God bless you? I know the Old Testament, they talk about how much Abraham had, how much Lot had, how much Job had, and that was a sign of your wealth or how prosperous you were. Does God bless you now like that? Oh, y'all believe in the curses. But if you obey him, is that a promise to get wealth, to get money? Can you naturally learn wisdom and get money? Oh, y'all please tell me, because boy, my situation grave. Right now, and it's getting worse. Then I start up that's a whole nother thing with these. Shout out to my investors, my people trying to get some houses to do something, because boy, I'm telling y'all. Let's just look at this. Some practical things to get money. Or like I played Pastor Madden, there's something wrong with us as black people. A super curse is on us. We can't think right. Maybe evolution is right, and like some of the racists say, we just can't think. We are at the bottom intellectually. Yeah, we can dribble a basketball, but not many of us are scientists. That's what some people want to say. And doctors, no matter our lawyers, our numbers are growing. It's growing, but even them, y'all say they the Boo Lady, the Divine Nine, they Prince Hall. Are y'all just spooked out and there's no way to get money? Everything is just the devil because we're not thinking right?
Clearly, the Goldman Sachs family have etched their name in the sands of time and have woven themselves in the very fabric of America's economy that one can almost say they own America. Pritzker family. The Pritzker family is not just a household name in the United States. It is a symbol of success, innovation, and philanthropy that has left an indelible mark on America's business landscape. As we delve into their rich history, it becomes evident that this Jewish family's journey is a quintessentially American story, one of vision, tenacity, and the enduring pursuit of excellence. The roots of the Pritzker family can be traced back to Ukraine, where their ancestors laid the foundation for the family's American dream. Abram Nicholas Pritzker, the patriarch of the family, was born on January 6, 1896 in the United States. He was the son of Ukrainian Jewish immigrants Annie P. and Nicholas J. Pritzker, who arrived in the land of opportunity seeking a better life. Nicholas J. Pritzker's journey from Kiev to Chicago in 1881 encapsulates the immigrant experience. Initially, he worked as a pharmacist, but his relentless pursuit of knowledge led him to graduate from DePaul University College of Law. His profound belief in the importance of legacy is encapsulated in a book he wrote.
All right, legacy, talking about the future. The Bible talks about building wealth and leaving stuff for your grandkids and just not living for the here and now. Okay, listen to this. Of course, I asked, was a concerted effort to keep black people down in America. That's when we started an hour ago, already an hour and 40 minutes. How many? I got to keep my 3.5 hours. I'll be clocking my time with y'all when I get to praying. Lord, do something for me. I'm spending time with these folk with this nonsense. Somebody else said, and then I start reading some emails and I'll be like, oh, I got to keep going. How many wealthy black communities were ruined and the people never paid insurance proceedings? Was that the rich people or because they made it a race thing? Because it's usually the sheriff and them just white hick town, just trash tearing up some black businesses. And we've heard it, not just Black Wall Street, but it's happened on a few occasions. Then the Klan and them going out trying to get people to not vote, scare people up, running the folk house. They got hammers. Y'all don't believe in hammers, or they pass laws so y'all won't have them. And then a few men that had them said, listen, I got shot another two. We kill them. The whole town coming with guns to kill not just me and my family for killing them white men on them horses, but everybody in the village they'll kill. Wild mobs. And a lot of the history we don't even hear about. Or is that just human nature? Not saying these people are a spirit, another entity made them. They don't belong on the planet and all of this, but just bad behavior. Let's keep going. Because the Israelites take it one step further. A lot of y'all are saying those people are fake. Those people are devils. It's of God. They're the synagogue of Satan, Obadiah, and he gonna listen, them folk gonna get what they looking for. And the majority of people that the Israelites are talking about that's in the Bible are connected with synagogues, and those are Jewish people. We'll look at some of the other history, because y'all say y'all was in Spain, and mostly everybody that was Jews and had the businesses in Spain were black people. They burnt your businesses up like Black Wall Street, and then they wanted to separate you from your families and sold y'all into slavery. And it's these folk or their descent that's rich now because of past crimes and behaviors and sins that got us in the condition we're in today. On top of the fact that God, you know the story with y'all, and God on statutes and commandments, Deuteronomy 28 and all of that stuff.
Family heirloom that emphasizes the idea that you're...
The only bad thing is light-skinned Jews been around, and they've been business, they've been getting money. All right. Alton says that the Nicholas brothers were rich as kids during the Great Depression, and they were black. Fair use.
Or only
They're arguing the overwhelming, the majority of millionaires in this country, or billionaires in this country, entire families, not one basketball player getting money and helping this whole community, one rapper getting money and bring his homeboys with him and all of that stuff. No, entire families are Jewish families. So we're trying to figure out if this is some great cabal. Was Kanye half right? Are the Israelites, some of the campers, are some of them half right in what they're saying?
Mortality is the impact you have on your successors. Abram Nicholas Pritzker, often affectionately known as Abe, was the torchbearer of the family's legacy. After completing his education at Harvard Law School, he, along with his brothers Harry and Jack, founded Pritzker and Pritzker, a law firm that became the cornerstone of their journey. Each Pritzker brother specialized in a distinct legal field: Harry in criminal law, Abram in business law, and Jack in real estate law. Their collective expertise and commitment to excellence laid a solid foundation for their future endeavors. The 1930s marked a significant turning point in the family's history as Abram Pritzker, driven by ambition and innovation, chose to venture into new territory alongside his brother Jack. Together, they explored real estate investments and small businesses, primarily in the vibrant city of Chicago. This demonstrated their adaptability and foresight beyond the confines of the legal profession. Meanwhile, Harry Pritzker continued to oversee the law firm, which later evolved into an in-house entity exclusively serving the needs of the...
Okay, look at this. Look at this, Alton, Mr. Smarty. How is it a group of people that largely don't believe in Christ is so blessed? Ooh, that's going to turn into the Bible. Yeah, they are partially blinded. Oh, that's going to turn into the Bible. Where most sex of that? Did they take up Satan on the offer he tempted Christ within the garden? Oh, this is mine and I can give it to you, or whoever I want to give it to. Are they secret devil worshipers? Is it spiritual? Esau, we gotta look on 2 Corinthians 4, for the devil's the god of this world. We talk about people selling their souls. What do you think is going on there, Alton? Or this world has nothing to do with financial blessings. So you could be unsaved as long as you follow principles in the Bible. Or is it just wickedness? She said it's all spiritual. He's saying post-resurrection, because I'm saying, what does this got to do with I'm a little confused. He said Christ rose with all power. So what, but still, who's the God of this world? Can Satan offer, even if some people say, well, you can't technically sell your soul, can Satan make people rich? Governments rich? Or is it just bad behavior or principalities behind some of these other people or nations? Their use.
The Pritzker family and their burgeoning business empire. The Pritzker brothers achieved remarkable success in accumulating wealth, thanks in part to their savvy financial planning. They established a series of trusts that allowed them to strategically manage and distribute their earnings. This financial acumen not only shielded their wealth from excessive taxation, but also provided them with the flexibility to allocate resources as they saw fit. The legacy of Abram Nicholas Pritzker continued through his three accomplished sons, Jay Pritzker, Robert Pritzker, and Donald Pritzker. It was this second generation that not only carried forward the family's legacy, but also reshaped.
Okay, Alton brought up that the Hobby Lobby people, that whole family is rich and they're Christians. And the Chick-fil-A CEO founders, are Christians too. So what you're saying, it rained on the just and the unjust? Or it's just principles?
The American business landscape. Jay Pritzker, the eldest, possessed a vision that transformed the family's fortune. He was not content with the modest...
Is God behind every rich person or the devil? J. Jack said it's all spiritual. Can anybody just get money and really, really make it? Just following principles and no spirituality at all? All right, Met said, he want to quote Bible. Why do the wicked continue to live? Oh, yeah, but we know with Job, I guess it was spiritual behind the scenes.
Beginnings of the Pritzker and Pritzker law firm, overseen by their uncle Harry. Instead, Jay set out to diversify the family's portfolio. With his brother Robert by his side, they ventured into the world of industry, creating the Marmon Group Holding Company. Together, they nurtured a portfolio of 60
All right, if the Jews been in captivity and been getting money, been wandering Europe, been wandering Africa, been wandering the Middle East, and they've learned how to get money and practice their religion on the low, some and some didn't, is just something in them having community to be entrepreneurs, like the brother said in the video. And we just don't really grow up like that. It's even worse now because we ain't even got a grandmama in them to even go to church and pray. Y'all mamas, y'all got these mamas as strippers and they sons as gangbangers, letting them things go.
Diverse industrial corporations, each marked by innovation and creativity. But Jay's most enduring legacy was yet to come. In 1957, he collaborated with his other brother Donald to give birth to the Hyatt hotel chain. They believed that a high-quality hotel near major airports was a winning business strategy, and they were right. The Hyatt Regency Atlanta, with its stunning atrium lobby and glass elevators, became an instant architectural marvel and the model for future Hyatt hotels. Robert Pritzker, a brilliant industrial engineer, was equally remarkable. He contributed not only to the family's business, but also to academia. He taught at the Illinois Institute of Technology and later at Hyatt, the University of Chicago Graduate School of Business. His classes were unique and rooted in real-world business takeovers. His approach allowed students to recommend whether or not to purchase the company's understudy, fostering creativity and independent thinking. Meanwhile, Donald Pritzker was busy shaping the hospitality industry. As the president of Hyatt, he oversaw its transformation into the fifth largest hotel chain in the world at the time of his untimely passing. Donald's leadership set the tone for Hyatt's culture, emphasizing excellence and innovation. The legacy of the Pritzker family continued through subsequent generations. John A. Pritzker, born in 1953, was the eldest of the third generation. The son of Jay Pritzker, John carried on the family's entrepreneurial spirit. In 1972, he started his career within the family business, Hyatt Hotels, where he climbed the ranks until he became the managing director and divisional vice president in 1984. John's vision extended beyond the confines of Hyatt, and in 1988, he ventured into his own entrepreneurial endeavors, including a pivotal role in Ticketmaster. But John's true passion lay in the world of wellness and hospitality. In 1996, he co-founded Mandara Spa, a chain of 72 resort spas. The company's unique approach to relaxation and rejuvenation resonated with travelers around the globe. Notably, a portion of the company was sold to Shiseido Company in 2000, demonstrating its growing influence. In 2005, John co-founded the private equity firm Giolo Capital with his Mandara Spa partner, Tom Gottlieb. Giolo Capital set its sights on investments in hospitality, entertainment, and health and wellness companies. Their commitment to enhancing the guest experience led them to purchase the iconic Carmel Valley Ranch in 2009. The resort underwent a remarkable transformation under Giolo Capital's guidance. Soon after, another significant development occurred as Giolo Capital acquired a majority stake in the Joie de Vivre boutique hotel chain. It was a strategic move that merged the 30 hotels of Joie de Vivre with the 12 hotels of the Thompson Hotel Group, forming Commune Hotels and Resorts in October 2011. John Pritzker and Jason Pomeranc took the helm as co-CEOs, guiding the company into an era of unprecedented growth. By 2012, Commune Hotels operated an impressive 46 hotels, generating a staggering $450 million in revenues. Their unique blend of luxury and authenticity set them apart in the fiercely competitive hospitality industry. In January 2016, Commune Hotels joined forces with Destination Hotels to create Two Roads Hospitality, a hospitality powerhouse with over 97 hotels across 6 brands and annual revenues exceeding $2.3 billion. The merger marked a significant milestone in John Pritzker's journey.
J-Jax, let me ask you and other people, are the elite in general Ashkenazi, or they form the core part of the elite in America or worldwide? Because some people make it sound like white people are wicked, but the Jewish people are extra wicked. And I don't know where that's coming from. Of course, the Bible talks about the synagogue of Satan.
Journey through the world of hospitality. Penny Pritzker, the daughter of Donald Pritzker, is a dynamic force in the Pritzker family's legacy, serving as the 38th United States Secretary of Commerce. In 1987, she founded Classic Residence by Hyatt, later renamed VI, a pioneering endeavor that provided upscale housing for seniors as an alternative to traditional nursing homes. Initially, the project faced challenges and incurred substantial losses, but with savvy marketing and sound management, Penny managed to turn the tide. Penny's impact extended beyond senior housing. In 1991, her uncle Jay Pritzker, head of the family businesses, appointed her as the director of the Pritzker's non-hotel land holdings. This marked the birth of the Pritzker Realty Group, a venture that developed apartment buildings, shopping centers, and even the Baldwin Park neighborhood in Orlando, Florida. J. Robert J.B. Pritzker, son of Donald Pritzker, was born on January 19, 1965, represents another pillar of the third generation of the Pritzker family. J.B. took on the role of chairman of Chicago Next, a council focused on innovation and technology championed by Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel. He played a pivotal role in founding 1871, a non-profit digital startup incubator named in commemoration of the Great Chicago Fire of 1871.
Okay. I'm wondering if this is, and y'all know we family, ain't nobody gonna get, I'm wondering if this is just the mind of a simple-minded American Christian. Why folk just can't work hard? Why everything gotta be a conspiracy? Do y'all think that Mark Zuckerberg, he was already sharp, he was in Harvard or somewhere, a lot of these dudes, they were already in sharp schools and dropped out and then made Facebook? What about the Apple guy? He dropped out of school too, but he's not Jewish, right? The one that died, that was practicing Buddhism. Mark Zuckerberg, a Jew. You think it was some conspiracy, a hand was on him, or his family prayed? Or he just made some things happen? Or nobody gets that rich? Because it's like pawns in the game. Nobody gets that rich unless an unseen hand is at work.
His contributions extended to the establishment of the Illinois Venture Capital Association and the Chicagoland Entrepreneurial Center. JB co-founded Chicago Ventures and supported initiatives.
And then rich people going to protect rich people. Or is that human nature? You think Russell Simmons knew and was involved in some freaking with Puffy? You think Jay-Z know if Puffy is bisexual or a freak, or you think rich people know? You think Oprah knew what Epstein was doing? Let's leave the Jew thing alone and just be like, yo, that's my man, that's my people. I'm gonna be quiet on this one. What about Bill Cosby? Never mind, y'all want to focus on the Jews. They're the most wicked people. Y'all don't want nobody else to be wicked but them. Let's keep going.
It's like Techstars Chicago and Built in Chicago. Together with his brother Anthony, he co-founded Pritzker Group Private Capital, a powerhouse owning and operating middle market companies, including pallet exchange company also called Pecco Pallet and Clinical Innovations. His dedication to economic development earned him accolades, such as the Entrepreneurial Champion Award from the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce in 2008. JB ventured into politics and made significant contributions that bolstered the Pritzker family's influence over America. His political journey began with his strong affiliation with the Democratic Party. He had been a devoted financial supporter and active member of the party for years. In 2018, JB Pritzker decided to take a monumental step by running for the office of the governor of Illinois, and he won. Pritzker's victory not only propelled him into the role of the 43rd governor of Illinois, but also extended the Pritzker family's reach into the realm of American politics. J.B. Pritzker's successful political career enhanced the family's visibility on the national stage. It allowed them to engage with a broader audience, advocate for their philanthropic causes, and participate in discussions that transcended business interests. The Pritzker family's ability to diversify their wealth across various industries allowed them to weather economic storms and thrive in changing times. Their innovative approach to business and willingness to embrace new opportunities ensured they remained relevant and profitable. From legal practice to manufacturing and hospitality to diverse investments, they strategically built a financial empire that continues to influence various industries. Through generations, the Pritzker family's stewardship of their assets, coupled with their willingness to seize opportunity.
All right, let me stop here with selling the show. Let me stop here for a minute. Did Russell Simmons and them have money with hip hop? Do you think the small hat people invented hip hop? Or they saw it was something that could be trendy and they put their money and their business minds behind it and formed some of these groups? Oh, y'all think that they invented hip hop and they knew where it was going? Because that's important. Be careful how you answer. Yeah, Rick Rubin was his partner when they started what they had, Def Jam.
When they arose, ensured the preservation and growth of their wealth. They consistently rank among the wealthiest families in America and control a substantial part of America's economy, increasing their prominence in the country's business landscape. Fisher family. The story of the Fisher family, a Jewish-American dynasty, is a testament to the power of entrepreneurship, hard work, and a deep passion for the arts. Their journey from modest beginnings to amassing substantial wealth has left an indelible mark on America's business landscape. The Fisher family's roots can be traced back to San Francisco, California. Donald George Fisher, born on September 3, 1928, and Doris Lee Feigenbaum Fisher, born on August 23, 1931, were both born into Jewish families. Donald, the eldest of three sons, was the son of Aileen Fisher and Sidney Fisher, a skilled cabinet maker. Doris was the daughter of Dorothy Bamberger of New York and B. Joseph Feigenbaum, and she had two siblings, Anne F. Rossi and Joseph L. Feigenbaum. Donald Fisher's journey to success began with a B.S. in Business Administration from the University of California, Berkeley, where he was an active member of the Theta Zeta chapter of the Delta Kappa Epsilon fraternity. After graduation, he gained valuable experience as a U.S. Naval Reserve officer and worked in the family business L&E Emanuel Incorporated, a mill and cabinet-making firm. The seeds of entrepreneurship were sown during this time. In the 1960s, a pivotal moment occurred when Donald Fisher ventured into the hotel renovation business. A fateful decision to lease retail space to Levi Strauss & Company led to the inception of a revolutionary retail concept, the Wall of Levi's. Recognizing the potential, Donald and Doris Fisher reshaped the American fashion retail industry forever. In 1969, the first Gap store opened its doors near City College on Ocean Avenue in Ingleside, San Francisco. The store offered only Levi's apparel and long-playing vinyl records, a unique combination aimed at attracting a young audience. The store, aptly named The Gap after the generation gap, offered a diverse range of jean sizes, a pioneering move at the time. The store also featured records and tapes to cater to a youthful audience. In 1972, the Fishers introduced...
Now, remember the other video that we played? He said that they would seek to be entrepreneurs and they'll jump into high-risk ventures. Like, let's take a chance with this rap music thing. It may take the country, and it end up taking the world. Whoo, them folk don't like Beyonce with this country music. Let me just keep going. Nah, matter of fact, wait. We done heard a bunch of these families. Let's see what else they say. The secrets to get rich, how money works, they become experts. This is another one. All right. Let's see if these guys started from nothing over to Kabbalah. Let's see what the... All billionaires. All right.
Jews are often in the news and for all the right reasons. From running successful businesses to helping others with their philanthropic efforts, they're indeed creating a huge impact on our world. Today, we will talk about the richest Jewish women in the world. Prepare to be inspired and intrigued as we delve into the extraordinary lives of the world's most accomplished and affluent Jewish women. Get ready to witness the stories of resilience, innovation, and sheer determination that have propelled these remarkable women to the pinnacle of success, showcasing not only their remarkable wealth, but also the invaluable contributions they've made to various fields. Let's go. Miriam Adelson. Miriam Adelson is an Israeli-American physician and billionaire who is the widow of Sheldon Adelson, the former CEO and chairman of casino company Las Vegas Sands. She's also a prominent donor to conservative political causes in the United States and Israel, especially to Donald Trump's campaigns and initiatives. She is the current publisher of the newspaper Israel Hayom, which is known for its pro-Netanyahu stance. She has a net worth of $36 billion, making her the fifth richest woman in the world. Miriam Adelson was born in Tel Aviv in 1945 to parents who fled Poland before the Holocaust. Adelson's educational and career journey began with 12 years of schooling at the Hebrew Reale School. Subsequently, she fulfilled her compulsory military service as a medical officer in Ness Ziona. Her academic path led her to earn a Bachelor of Science degree in microbiology and genetics from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. She further pursued her passion for medicine by obtaining a medical degree from the Sackler Medical School of Tel Aviv University. Following her medical studies, she embarked on her professional journey as the chief intern at the Emergency Rokach Hospital, which is affiliated with Hadassah Hospital, located in Tel Aviv. Her dedication to the medical field and her thirst for knowledge took her to Rockefeller University as part of an exchange program. Here she specialized in the field of drug addiction. Throughout her academic and professional endeavors, Adelson had the privilege of being mentored and collaborating with esteemed experts in her field, including Mary Jean Creek. She met Sheldon Adelson in 1989 at a conference in New York and married him in 1991. They have 2 children together, and she also has 2 children from her previous marriage. Sheldon Adelson passed away in 2021. Miriam Adelson is known to be humble and kind. She regularly visits her treatment clinic located near an unassuming strip mall in Las Vegas. This clinic was established by her in 2000, 7 years after she opened a similar one in Tel Aviv, which she continues to visit when she is in Israel. During these visits, she takes a hands-on approach, often wearing a white coat and personally providing care to the patients. Miriam Adelson and her husband were known for their generous philanthropy, especially to Jewish causes. They donated hundreds of millions of dollars to Birthright Israel, a program that sponsors free trips to Israel for young Jews. They also supported medical research and education, such as the Dr. Miriam and Sheldon G. Adelson Medical Research Foundation and the Adelson Educational Campus. Miriam Adelson received several honors for her contributions, such as the Presidential Medal of Freedom from Donald Trump in 2018 and Honorary Citizenship of Jerusalem in 2013. Adelson is also heavily involved in politics. In fact, Miriam and her late husband were the largest financial backers of Donald Trump, donating $180 million to his campaigns and political action committees in 2020. They also funded his defense fund against the Mueller investigation into Russian interference and his legal challenges to the 2020 election results. They were influential in shaping Trump's policies on Israel, such as moving the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem. Miriam Adelson is a powerful and wealthy woman who has made a significant impact on both American and Israeli politics. She is admired by many for her philanthropy and loyalty. Françoise Bettencourt-Myers. Françoise Bettencourt-Myers.
I wonder how many rich business people like basketball players and how many of you rich black folk invest money to get close to people in politics like that. That's a whole nother thing there, because y'all ran into some money too. What other guy think they say he finna come home? I think I'm Big Meech. Y'all done ran through some money. Did y'all at least rub shoulders? I'm talking about them guys getting money in the hood and the rappers. Then y'all mad when Jay-Z ran them other folk. Folk making moves. Sometimes you got to go to charity dinners and you got to put some money up. Is that what them people doing? So they can start making phone calls if something happened to their people. You heard what the girl said. She said, Jewish folk ain't out there marching. The Jews will not replace us. I'm felt like, man, we're going to make some moves. I don't know what's going on here. But this Holocaust thing ain't finna happen again. Let's see.
This is a French businesswoman, philanthropist, writer, and the richest woman in the world. She is the only daughter and heiress of Liliane Bettencourt, the former owner of L'Oreal, the world's largest cosmetics company. She has a net worth of $85.2 billion. Françoise Bettencourt-Myers was born in 1953 in Neuilly-sur-Seine, France. She was raised as a strict Catholic. She married Jean-Pierre Myers, the grandson of a rabbi who was killed at Auschwitz and converted to Judaism. They have 2 sons, Jean-Victor and Nicolas, who are also involved in the family business. She is a board member and vice chairwoman of L'Oreal, which was founded by her grandfather, Eugene Schuler, in 1909. She and her family own about 33% of the company's shares, which gives them significant influence over its strategy and direction. She is also the chairwoman of Tethys Invest, the family holding company that manages their other investments. Françoise Bettencourt-Myers also assumed control of the Bettencourt-Schuler Foundation, an organization established by her mother, Liliane Bettencourt. Her mother founded this foundation back in 1987 with a notable characteristic. It never actively sought external funding throughout its existence. Françoise Bettencourt-Myers is also a writer and a scholar of Greek mythology and the Bible. She has published several books on these topics, such as The Greek Gods, Genealogy and Regards sur la Bible, which translates to A Look at the Bible. She is also the president of the Bettencourt-Schuler Foundation, which supports scientific, cultural and humanitarian projects in France and abroad. Myers is a philanthropist who has made significant donations to various causes, such as education, health, arts, and the environment. She and her family pledged $226 million to repair Notre Dame Cathedral after it was damaged by a fire. She also supports Jewish organizations such as Birthright Israel and the American Jewish Committee. While Françoise Bettencourt-Myers is widely recognized for her considerable wealth, she maintains an exceptionally private lifestyle. Beyond her passion for playing the piano and her status as a published author, little is publicly known about her personal interests. She deliberately shies away from the paparazzi and is notably reticent when it comes to engaging in public interviews. Shari Arison. Shari Arison is an American-born Israeli businesswoman and philanthropist who is the owner of Arison Investments, a group of companies that operate in various sectors such as banking, real estate, infrastructure, renewable energy, and water. She is also the founder of the Ted Arison Family Foundation, which supports several philanthropic organizations that promote social and environmental causes, such as Good Deeds Day, Ruach Tova, and the Doing Good model. She has a net worth of $6.9 billion. Shari Arison was born in New York City in 1957 to Ted Arison, the founder of Carnival Cruise Lines, and Mina Arison Sapper. She has an older brother, Mickey, who is also a billionaire and the chairman of Carnival Corporation. She moved to Israel with her mother after her parents divorced when she was 9 years old. She returned to the US to live with her father when she was 12 and attended Miami-Dade College but dropped out before graduating. She married Jose Antonio Sueras, an officer on one of the ships owned by her father, and had 3 children with him. After they divorced, she married Mickey Dorsman, a basketball player, and had 1 child with him. They divorced and she later married Ofer Glazer. Shari Arison inherited 35% of her father's fortune when he died in 1999. She was the controlling shareholder of Bank Hapoalim, Israel's largest bank, for 2 decades before she sold some of her shares in 2018. She was also the owner of Shikun and Binui, Israel's leading construction and infrastructure company, which she sold in 2018 to focus on her other businesses and philanthropic activities. She is currently the owner of Arison Investments, which comprises several companies that aim to create a positive impact on society and the environment. Some of these companies are Mia Water, a global provider of water efficiency solutions, and Essence of Life, a company that provides tools for inner peace. The Ted Arison Family Foundation, which is named in honor of her late father, has made generous contributions exceeding $260 million to support a wide range of social, educational, youth-oriented, health, sports, and cultural initiatives in Israel. In her efforts to advance her philanthropic goals, she employs education as a powerful tool. An excellent example of this is Good Deeds Day, a focal point within the Creating Change program that she has introduced into the Israeli school system. Arison is collaborating with a team comprising members from Harvard University and other graduate schools to develop a business curriculum that is rooted in values. This curriculum is intended to benefit individuals, communities.
I gotta stop. I gotta ask. So why? I just want to focus on the conspiracy. Why do they conspire to tell the world that they're God's chosen people? That's part of the game. Like Ryan Harris asked, do you think they would use things like talking about that Holocaust to garner, I'm putting this in there, to garner attention, look for pity from the world? Israel get money. Do you think that helped to move and make things like Zionism possible? Folk getting money? Clearly, it's plenty rich Jews out here. I don't know if they too worried about y'all finna take over and do anything. Because they billionaires and rubbing shoulders with billionaires and not only got influence in America, but abroad. So they weren't getting no money. I'm trying to figure some of this out. So they weren't getting no money. And a few of them was on the mass conversion. A few of them was on in Jesus' day, but they started to try to take over then. They were locked in with the Roman government and started oppressing people. All of this is connected to the identity stuff. Did she help Flint with the water? No, she probably didn't. They ain't, but what y'all got in Flint? Y'all ain't got no, the level of money that they are. Oh, they're supposed to just do. They're supposed to just do for the poor people. Their hearts are good because clearly they got foundations. All rich folk got foundations that they doing anything with. And these are the, he said, yeah, and these are the wicked folk. All right. That's what they talk about with Kanye now. These them wicked folk. And you can't even speak against them right now because you're gonna because they it's like tentacles. Their arms stretch all over. Their arms stretch far. And they conspire because they're really, let me try to finish the story of it. And they conspire and they want to actually, they hate God and they hate God's seed. They hate God, the seven, they hate God's people. So they want to destroy God's people from the earth. It's simple as that. And this is the same thing was going on in Egypt, same thing in every nation. Nations that oppressed Israel is just about the righteous and the unrighteous, those that hate God's people, and they're taking the identity like they're chosen, and they're hiding behind anti-Semitism, and we're God's people. Or they really, really think that as converts, some type, that God gave them the world to rule and he on their side. And y'all nothing but dirty Gentiles, and y'all are they servicing, y'all are there for them to use. They did the old switcheroo. All right, he said pull up a Rockefeller video. All right, I'm quite sure Rockefeller's got to be in here somewhere. Rockefeller's investment. They're programmed to be rich. We're going to talk about that. All right, Rockefeller, let me see. They talk about, I don't know if I see, why so many Jews? Oh, man, it's a few of them. 1 year ago, 700,000. Clearly somebody's in it. Somebody is, let's see. All right, I might have to type that in a minute. I thought automatically a Rockefeller would be in here. And let's see how they got down, because they were like mobsters. They involved in crime and getting right. All right, let's see what's going on here with these.
The Jews have a reputation for being very wealthy, and although this is sometimes regarded as a stereotype, some of the wealthiest people in the world are indeed Jewish. For example, Sergey Brin, founder of Google, is worth $114 billion, while founder of Oracle, Larry Ellison, is worth $116 billion. Other Jewish billionaires include Michael Bloomberg, Mark Zuckerberg, Steven Schwartzman, Lynn Blackfenek, and Miriam Adelson. While not all Jews may be billionaires, many of them may be considered as a little more than financially stable. How did this happen? Here are my top 10 reasons that Jews are richer than most. Number 10. European Jews were not allowed to own land. Nowadays, investing in real estate has become a leading trend in wealth acquisition. However, back in the day, this was not a possibility for Jewish people in Europe. They were excluded from many guilds, confined to ghettos, and restricted from owning land. As a result, in the late Middle Ages, many Jews became successful in the fields of trade, banking, and money lending.
Now, this is crazy, because the people can hate them. How can a people that's been so hated, because they say we've been hated even longer than them, how can a people that's been so hated, so many of them raised to great heights? Let's listen to this.
Dominant Christian society was forbidden from charging interest to other Christians. However, this was fine under Jewish law. So while Christians had more opportunities open to them, for example, capital investment and land and sea trade, they needed loans to fulfill these desires. The Jews catered to their financial needs and were able to dominate this field. They had such a reputation for money lending that Shakespeare even made reference to this in The Merchant of Venice. In this play, a Jewish moneylender named Shylock extends a loan to a Christian named Antonio, but this loan is guaranteed by a pound of flesh. When he cannot repay the loan, he's taken to court, where Shylock insists on receiving his pound of flesh. Whether one views this portrayal as anti-Semitic or not, it highlights the perception of Jewish people in Europe at the time. Nonetheless, they continued to excel. Eventually, they opened their own banks, and this gave them the power to conduct several banking transactions while continuing to charge interest on loans.
So now remember the question again is, were all them Jews in Europe getting money? Were they these light-skinned Jews, or they were the black ones? They robbed y'all, took all your money, took all your gold, and made y'all slaves and put y'all at the bottom of the slave ship? Or these light-skinned Jews that was on top of the slave ship? Y'all explain that to me, because the conspiracy was already at work, and they already were identified around the world as Jews, these light-skinned people, right?
A service which was crucial for both Christians and Jews. Number 9. Discrimination brought them closer together. Before the French Revolution of 1789, the Jewish were treated as outsiders in most of Europe.
Did discrimination bring us together? Let me stop comparing.
They were also the victims of many discriminatory rules. For example, instead of being taxed as individuals, they were taxed as a community. This, coupled with the fact that they were excluded from society, caused them to grow as a community. They were able to develop stronger connections with each other, which allowed them to build trust. They knew they could rely on each other more than they could rely on anyone else. It also caused them to take on more intellectual pursuits, causing them to contribute to medicine, mathematics, literature, and music. Their community ties continued to strengthen, and this, along with their belief that they should help and elevate each other, allowed them to continue building their wealth. Number 8. Religious attitudes towards money. Like I mentioned before, their religion did not prohibit charging interest on loans. Christians of the time were repelled by careers which involved acquiring money in this way because they believed it was extremely sinful. This gave the Jews a huge advantage. Their religion also teaches good business practices, and they were adamant about adhering to certain principles as the Torah instructs them to. Therefore, they appear to be attractive business partners to others who believe that they will maintain this attitude of integrity and honesty. To add to this, a fundamental aspect of Judaism is stewardship. It teaches that the wealth on earth is for everyone to enjoy, and that it should continue to be cultivated and created. It's important to guard money and to use wisdom when making financial decisions. Wealth is not only seen as a blessing, but a great responsibility as well. Poverty is not considered to be a quality of righteous people, and it is important for everyone to work hard in order to gain success. Becoming reliant on charity is a big no. And while they tithe and contribute to charitable organizations, they see it as important to not become the recipient of charity. Number 7. Compassion. Jews believe that God requires 10% of their income and that there are 8 levels of charity. This charity should be given anonymously, in a manner which would not cause any embarrassment to the poor. It should also enable the less fortunate to help themselves. Judaism teaches that the community should be embraced and provided with any necessary help. Deuteronomy chapter 5 verse 11 states, quote, "Open your hand to the poor and your neighbors in your land who are in need." With principles like these, the less fortunate in the Jewish community are not ostracized. Rather, they are embraced and assisted. They look after each other and share their wealth to benefit the community. Therefore, when those who were once poor begin to succeed, they help others who have less. This creates a cycle of success and prosperity. They're also very supportive of their own when they've started new businesses or have new ideas. Upliftment of others is considered second nature. Number 6. Education. According to a Pew Research Center global demographic study, Jews are the best educated religious group in the world. Most are able to achieve an average of 13.4 years of schooling, while some other religious groups, such as Hindus and Muslims, receive less than half of that, 5.6 years. Researchers believe that one of the main reasons for this is because Jews are located in countries where there are already high levels of education, such as the US and Israel. More Jews are able to attain higher education, and this leads to better opportunities and higher salaries later on. Number 5. Generational values. In many non-Jewish families, children are simply taught that they need to get a good education so they can someday have a good job which pays the bills. At least, that's what I was taught. However, it's a little bit different in the Jewish community. Families have provided a solid financial education to their young for generations. Therefore, children are able to grow with an awareness of money, its importance, and its value. Traditions are passed along, and children are taught how to manage what they may someday inherit, and also how to continue building wealth. Older generations also try to model correct behaviors so that their children can learn from them. According to Jewish financial consultant Rivka Lebowitz, how we spend our money is an area where children see what we value most. If we value Jewish education, then we're paying for it. If we value going to Disney World, we're paying for that. Torah values go hand in hand with how we deal with money. Lebowitz emphasizes that children observe their parents' attitudes towards money. When they see that a fraction of their income is budgeted towards charity, it teaches them to adopt similar values. Children are taught that money is not only an aspiration, but it is a tool which can be used to achieve various means. Number 4. They are determined and persistent. The spiritual and practical teachings of Judaism help followers to keep persisting through challenges, pain, and tragedy. This is a major factor which has allowed them to thrive and survive throughout the generations. It is not new to anyone that they have been victims of persecution and unfairness for a long time. What I find particularly admirable is that they remained resilient throughout it all. When asked about this resilience, many Jewish people will emphasize that this has been a feature of their people since biblical times. For example, the ancient Israelites faced many years of slavery, then moved to their own land. Later on, their temple was destroyed by the Romans and Babylonians. When they moved to Europe, they were exiled from Spain, while Sephardic Jews were able to re-establish themselves elsewhere. They faced several hardships during medieval times, and we all know about the Holocaust and the awful atrocities that they faced during this time. However, they survived through it all and continue to remain focused and steadfast throughout. This resilient attitude also has positive consequences in the business world. What I mean is that after seeing your people endure so much hardship and still prospering regardless, one is less likely to give up on a business venture which is initially unsuccessful. With this kind of mentality, it's impossible to not do very well eventually. Number 3, networking. Judaism places a high value on interpersonal connection. Such connections lead to more opportunities and inevitably more wealth. According to Ben Sira, a Hellenistic Jewish scribe, a faithful friend is a firm friend, and he that findeth him hath found a treasure. Thus, it is ingrained in Jewish people that friendships can lead to greater success, provides professional opportunities, and the chance to develop connections with other people. According to Dareem Online, the Jewish networks that built a new Jewish life in the Talmudic era and beyond included communication between people who literally could never have spoken to one another. The network extended beyond distance and, incredibly, beyond time restrictions. They add that, as Jews, we are networked. It is part of our heritage. Historically, Jewish networks have always been quite strong. A very long time ago, when Jewish communities were dispersed across long distances, transcultural and transterritorial channels of communication still existed. Their similarities also united them. Their common religion, language, high rates of literacy,
and then they had money and they were powerful because so many of the paintings all over the world, they not black like me.
And mercantile connections. Trade, which was important to them, also helped to strengthen networks. This continued throughout medieval times when they were excluded from agriculture, craftsmanship, and land ownership. Number 2, effective wealth management. According to author Colben Levy, there are 2 trials before the individual, the test of wealth and the test of poverty. Both are difficult, but the test of wealth is greater than the test of poverty. The key to prosperity is learning how to manage your wealth effectively. And Jewish people are quite meticulous when it comes to that. Firstly, they adhere to giving tzedakah, charity. Everyone, rich and poor, must give 10% of their earnings to the needy. Some may choose to place their cash and spare change in a tzedakah box and then donate it to a charity of their choice once it's full. Greed is scorned upon and discouraged. After all, wealth comes from God. It is impossible to take money with you after you've died. It is also a common principle to live within one's means. While other cultures hurt themselves financially.
Alton, is this helping the awakening in light of the Bible? Or is this, because to some people listening to this is just strengthening Psalms 83 and the conspiracy, want to hold other people down. These are the oppressors. And they just picked up little things like giving, give to the poor, you lend it to the Lord, and tithe, and then Abraham did that, and they just stole the story. Is this strengthening Alton? I want to hear what you got to say.
While trying to keep up with the Joneses, Judaism promotes living within one's means. Budgeting is important.
Do black people live within one's means? I'm the worst with money, and my mama too. And then I look at my family, and I think certain things can be taught and handed down. Well, let's keep going. Let's keep going.
And this certainly makes life easier and less stressful, although it is seldom.
Because Alton, you said black folk got money. Are we obsessed with wearing our money and these $400, $500, $600, $700, $1,200 sneakers? And you'll get somebody Jewish, you'll put a Jewish doctor, surgeon, a judge, six-figure folk, and they'll wear some $59, $89, $100 pair of sneakers, and that's probably a lot pushing it.
Discussed, Jewish people may tend to have extra expenses. For example, kosher food can be a bit pricey. In addition, many Jewish people choose to send their kids to Jewish schools, which cost between $25,000 to $40,000 a year. It's all about priorities. Number one.
Are all schools the same? Or there's some schools that'll teach how to govern people, business, and then some schools just to teach you the basics, how to work in somebody's factory, and you'll learn enough to do A, B, C, and D. And make a good living. You can get a good job. And then marry somebody else, they have good jobs, and then you're around some folk have decent jobs, and you'll make it. Somebody said this is the land of great opportunity, the greatest on the planet. But we have some people saying these folk don't want us to have opportunity. They're trying to hide our identities. They want to hold us back. And to some, it sounds like it's just a bunch of excuses.
One, it's just part of who they are. The Tanakh portrays the first Jews as being very wealthy. Thus, a standard has been set which they can follow. There's no doubt that this has encouraged Jewish families to pursue the accumulation of wealth and to strive towards having high-income careers. Other wealth accumulation strategies, like investing, are also viewed as important for success. Many faiths focus on the afterlife and how one receives one's rewards then. However, Judaism perceives wealth and success as gifts from God. I believe that each culture and religion has something important we can all learn from, and that we should embrace all of the good that we have to offer each other.
Oh, man.
Larry Fink is the richest person you've never heard of. He is the CEO of BlackRock, a money management firm with $10 trillion in assets. If BlackRock was a country, it would be the third largest in nominal GDP behind the United States, whose GDP is $21 trillion, and China, whose GDP is $15 trillion. This is the story of Larry Fink and why you should know who he is. Early life. Larry Fink's wealth was very much self-made. He was born in 1952 into a modest middle class.
Okay, wait a minute. Look on the back of the dollar bill. All right, let's get the dollar bill talk. Look on the back of the dollar bill. Above the eagle is the Star of David. Who in history used that star we call the Star of David? Is that uniquely Jewish? Or that's part of the Psalms 8:3, the people that took over, the gangsters and the thugs that took over? Is that by itself a Masonic symbol? Because the words can spell out Mason. So some people say that's Masons. They letting you know they rule the world, they rule the country, and they were the major founders and major players of this great United States of America. Well, let's keep going.
Class Jewish family in Van Nuys, California. His mother worked as an English professor and his father owned a shoe store. He led the typical suburban American life. He went to UCLA and studied political science, and after graduating, married his high school sweetheart. He then studied real estate finance at UCLA's business school. For Fink, these two passions of politics and real estate finance are central to who he has become today. Like a lot of business school graduates, Fink decided that he was going to make it big on Wall Street. He moved to New York in his 20s and even interviewed at Goldman Sachs, but was not successful. Instead, he was hired by First Boston, a major investment bank. New York during the 1970s and 1980s was...
Is it part of because I don't know Jewish kids making music and videos about destroying other Jews, because they say the propaganda is in the hip hop. So it's part of the curses that we even use the byword, calling ourselves the N-word. They don't have to do it. We call it to each other. And that we don't value, because you know how we mock kids. Oh, you talk white, you act white, because education and stuff, we don't really look at that as being cool. We like the dropouts. We like the drug dealers and gangsters. Not saying that they weren't making killing movies, gangster movies, and all that. They love The Godfather and all of that stuff. Those blockbusters, classics. I don't know. We just looking at this.
Rife with discrimination and racism. The financial services industry was predominantly white. and they even kept Jewish and Italian Americans at arm's length, according to the FT. It was a subtle form of discrimination where they were allowed to work in the industry, but usually sidelined for more niche areas. It was ironically this discrimination that allowed him to carve his niche and become one of the most wealthy people in the world. Fink became in charge of the company's bond department, which mainly involved mortgage-backed securities. These instruments are mainstream today, but were quite niche back then. His team was made up of himself and other Jews and was nicknamed Little Israel. His management got in touch with him and told him to hire an Italian who could cover for them during Jewish holidays. Fink soon hired Robert Capito, who they later realized was also Jewish.
All right, the Jews created Hollywood. We hear that a lot. They're powerful in the music industry because that's part of the billionaires' propaganda tool. Because the non-conspiratorial view is because of racists. Sometimes good Christians, they would say, they would want to keep them out like they did Irish and other people. They would want to keep them out of stuff. So they was like, man, we just got to make it on our own.
This was the start of Fink and Capito's now legendary business partnership at BlackRock. A former executive at BlackRock told the FT, Rob would be wholly unsuccessful without Larry. But what people don't realize is that Larry would probably be wholly unsuccessful without Rob. The two of them are like salt and pepper shakers. They are very different, but they go together. Fink rose through the ranks at First Boston. He was an incredibly good leader and incredibly knowledgeable about the market. He was destined to run the company until everything turned sour in 1986. Interest rates had changed unexpectedly, and Fink's team lost the company $100 million. What happened next is disputed by Fink and First Boston. Fink claims he was never fired and that he resigned. First Boston disagreed and made it public that his departure was not voluntary. It was a messy breakup, to say the least. This mistake festered inside of him. Fink's friend Greg Fleming told Vanity Fair, what happened at First Boston was one of those life-shaping events. Fleming believes this event made him one of the most obsessive, paranoid, appropriately paranoid, people about making sure he understands what could go wrong. The Blackstone years. 2 years later, Fink, along with several other partners, including Capito, set up from Blackstone. He realized that his $100 million mistake was because of the technology they were using. The computer system did not provide enough information, so people never knew how much risk was involved. And it wasn't just First Boston that was using this technology. It was most of Wall Street. If he could use technology that fully understood the risks investors were taking, it could be a real game changer. And it was.
All right, we're looking into that, but we may have to look into Jekyll Island and how they created and how they did what they did on Wall Street and the banking and is this the game? What's the guy named that wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad? And this is the game. Oh, let me see. Almost any ethnicity that has influenced over a large amount of people, they're a Jew running it. Why is that? Alton, you got all the answers tonight. Why is that? They're powerful. I guess Candace Owens is getting a little bit of, and get people behind it. They're against us as a people. And what the rabbi was saying, secret relation between blacks and Jews, and Farrakhan try to expose this and show y'all. Slave ships. That's how they got rich, J. Jacks. Slave ships.
Was, to say the least. Blackstone brought on board Ben Golub and Charlie Hallis, who developed software for First Boston. They devised the Asset, Liability, Debt, and Derivative Investment Network, or Aladdin. The first machine was wedged between the fridge and coffee machine in their tiny office. Today, this technology is used all across the globe. By 1993, Fink's team alone had more than $20 billion under management, but by 1994, Fink walked out. Fink disagreed with co-founder Steve Schwarzman on methods of compensation, so he left Blackstone and started a cheekily similar company named BlackRock. Capito, ever the loyal supporter, followed him onto BlackRock. Founding BlackRock. Schwarzman would sorely regret his decision to part ways with Fink, and BlackRock would grow exponentially in the next 15 years. What began as a bond investment company expanded into equities, hedge funds, exchange-traded funds, and real estate investments.
All right, Alton, at least is this building the case that Jews, well, maybe don't say rule, have very, very powerful influence the world over for such a small amount of people.
The company went public in 1999 and even started buying out its competitors. In 2006, BlackRock acquired Merrill Lynch. Everything was getting bigger and bigger until 2008, when the economy's bubble suddenly burst. The collapse of the Lehman Brothers sent shockwaves throughout the markets. Fink was in Singapore at the time, and when he heard the news, he got on the next plane back to New York. When coming back, he said, "I felt like Charlton Heston in Planet of the Apes. I came back and the whole world had changed." What Fink soon found out was that all of the major players in Wall Street were coming to him for advice. Such was his reputation that JP Morgan Chase's Jamie Dimon, Morgan Stanley's John Mack, and AIG's Robert Willemstad all turned to him. It wasn't just people from the financial world either. The US Treasury and the Federal Reserve Bank of New York were also asking Fink on how to navigate the crisis. Washington bailed out Wall Street, and leading the advice on most of these deals were, you guessed it, BlackRock. The collapse of the Lehman Brothers had a potential domino effect. Financial companies such as Bear Stearns, AIG, Fannie Mae, and Freddie Mac were also at risk of...
Now, Alton, don't act like folk ain't lose their houses. Don't act like it wasn't billions and billions of dollars. Who was behind that? Let me see where his answers go now.
Collapse. The US government took on $130 billion of toxic assets, all of which were overseen by BlackRock. The fate of the US economy was in the hands of Fink's investment firm. Wall Street survived the crash, and Fink was its hero. He was now a powerful figure in both business and political circles. While the world was crashing down, BlackRock was getting stronger. In fact, it was in 2009 when BlackRock maneuvered a deal that the FT described in 2019 as the deal of the decade. A deal, Fink later admitted, would not have happened without the global financial crisis. This was the $15.2 billion cash and stock acquisition of Barclays Global Investors. It changed BlackRock, but it also changed the industry. It turned BlackRock into the world's largest fund manager, a title they have held since and don't look like conceding. The deal also added another string to BlackRock's bow. Through its iShares brand, BGI was a leader in exchange-traded funds, or ETFs. This opened up investments at a much lower cost and became increasingly popular during this period. A former BGI executive likened Fink's arrival to that of a Machiavellian prince. He was ruthless with power and demanded loyalty. The anonymous executive said, "The prince, Fink, needed all the barons to commit to total loyalty and basically killed off all the barons that wouldn't do so." By 2014, The Economist dubbed BlackRock the world's biggest asset manager, with $4 trillion under management. It was also now bigger than the biggest bank in the world, the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China. BlackRock simply began to dominate the market. According to the Wall Street Journal, its funds are among the 3 largest shareholders in more than 80% of the companies in the S&P 500. BlackRock is also managing the retirement funds of 35 million Americans. The pandemic and stakeholder capitalism. In the 2020s, Fink is far from finished. He changed the industry already, but he might be about to do it again. The COVID-19 pandemic changed the world, and it was up to the businesses to respond. Fink has been a very vocal component of stakeholder capitalism, as opposed to shareholder capitalism. Instead of maximizing profits for shareholders, Fink argues that businesses should create businesses that benefit their customers, employees, and wider communities. He has been dismissed as being too political or woke, but argues that businesses will need to be more socially aware to survive. In his 2022 letter to CEOs, he explains, "Stakeholder capitalism is not about politics. It is not a social or ideological agenda. It is not woke. It is capitalism, driven by mutually beneficial relationships between you and the employees, customers, suppliers, and communities your company relies on to prosper. This is the power of capitalism." The Wall Street Journal joked that Larry Fink wants to save the world. Given his enormous wealth, power, and influence, this isn't beyond the realms of possibility.
All right, I'm sorry. I thought I had myself muted. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, bro. Alton, no. This is what. Thank you for the super chat. This here, I got it. Alton, listen. Alton has to resort to being sarcastic instead of being intellectually honest and engaging the points. He might have a point here, Alton. You Like the elder told me before I left upstate, we were talking, and he was like, them folk over there need Jesus. Them folk not right, but you can't say nothing about them because they'll shut you down. Now, he was speaking about all churches, but if most churches in this country is carrying a mortgage, they didn't have that church service that we love so much, a mortgage burning after you finish paying for your building, and so many Jews are involved in banking, would you want to be the church or the denomination that speaks against them, Alton? Or would it behoove you to keep your mouth shut? Look what now, I'm going to ask you, look what happened to Nick Cannon, Whoopi Goldberg, Kanye West. Could it be something there that these folk got the power to make you come back and apologize if you do say something? Could it be, Alton, maybe, seriously, maybe could it be that they have insulated themselves with the term anti-Semitic? People talk here, there, but they do have power. Oh man, I know y'all a couple seconds behind. Let me just see what's what. Let's try. All right, let's try. All right, let's try something else. Oh no. All right, let's try this right here.
With another 30 people. Both his parents died from smallpox when he was just 12 years old. And prior to that, it was their wish that he become a rabbi. That didn't happen. And instead, at just age 13, the young Rothschild started an apprenticeship at a bank in Hanover. Through his teens, he practiced commodities and money trading, as well as sold rare coins. Through that, he rubbed shoulders with German nobility. And while he was working, he was also making children, 10 in all. Let's now see what happened next in this episode of the Infographic Show. How much money do the Rothschilds have? So we all know it started with Meyer Amschel Rothschild. In fact,
Alton, before you go to bed, does the Rothschilds have anything to do with the slave trade anywhere in their history? Can we at least, Father God, what's going on with these good Christian folk? All right. Let it play.
This man is sometimes called the founding father of international finance. We know he had 10 kids, and 5 of those were sons. Each of these sons was responsible for running a finance house in Europe's centers of finance. This family or empire worked under the motto, unity, integrity.
War is money. Would people go that far to get money to start 2 whole countries to beefing, stuff like that, Alton? Or that's God ain't that wicked. They won't go that far. Or when you start getting money, you could have so much of it, you'll start wanting to just move pieces on chessboard just to do stuff, just to do it, because you got the power to do it. They said you could get so much money, you will just want power after a while. Never mind. This ain't got nothing to do with Christianity. Let's keep it simple. Let's think about the cross and Jesus. Ain't no conspiracy.
Industry. We are also told that understanding all the ways this family earned its fortune is not exactly clear, with one journalist saying there is no book about them that is both revealing and accurate. Libraries of nonsense have been written about them. We do know that war made this family rich, with the Rothschild making hay during a time when the European sun shone on conflict after conflict. The family lent money to governments to finance war and also had a hand in many industries. Before Meyer Rothschild left planet Earth in 1812, he had thought up ways to keep all the money he and his sons had made by maintaining a close-knit family. According to an article in Discover magazine in 2003 called Go Ahead, Kiss Your Cousin, the plan was for cousins to marry cousins, thereby keeping the money in a close gene pool.
Is that the same way with power? Did they have some type of incest going on in even, I say, ancient Egypt? That young girl went viral for saying that all the presidents, I think all but maybe 1 or 2 are connected, including your black president, y'all, was all collected by bloodline. in one way or another. And then they try to make it sound like George Bush, that George Bush mother was connected bloodline, far as bloodline, to Aleister Crowley. We ain't gonna put no Satanists. We ain't gonna put devil worship inside the White House now. Spiritism. We ain't gonna. This is just this. Just let the video play, because this nonsense here.
The magazine tells us, for generations, the Rothschild family had been inbreeding almost intensively as European royalty. It also tells us 4 of Meyer's
European royalty inbreeding is a big thing, and it's always been a big thing. Back in the days, just one thing. Way back in the Bible times, the very, very beginning. But now they inbreed to keep the money. They would do that with power. And like people want to pass down wealth, they want to pass down power and control of nations. And even marry. Oh gosh, what is that document? What's that movie? I gotta pull it up to show y'all something. It makes it sound like, is that a lie or is that not a lie? Good. Elder CJ, I want to know if people married into money, married into other power, marries power to keep the power going.
granddaughters married grandsons, and one married her uncle. These were hardly people whose mate choice was limited by the distance they could walk on their day off. We are told that of Meyer's 5 sons, it was the third that made the most cash. His name was Nathan Meyer Rothschild. Nathan made a lot of money funding infrastructure in Europe, and this was a Europe that was growing at hyperspeed because of the Industrial Revolution. He moved to the center of that revolution, England, in 1798. There he started a textile business and also began trading on the London Stock Exchange. Soon enough, he would have his own bank, and that was called N.M. Rothschild & Sons Limited. We're told that during the Napoleonic Wars, the bank pretty much financed Britain's entire war effort. But lending money to governments wasn't the only way of making huge amounts of money. Insurance was a game that the Rothschilds played. Nathan, along with a partner, founded the Alliance Assurance Company in 1824. The Rothschild archive tells us that this was a direct challenge to Lloyd's Bank. The family were busy, to say the least, buying up expensive tracts of...
No, Alton I got to call Alton phone if he gone. Because if we connect this with the banking and then the redlining, that ain't what it is. What's going on, Elder? That ain't what it is right now.
Hey, grace and peace, my brother. Grace and peace, family. Hey, I just came on. I am no expert on none of this right here. Me and money, we got a bad relationship. Trying to mend that right now.
Man, I done went out here, started this other stuff, and now we beefing and this about the permits and all that. And then I got the nerve to talk about I'm getting investors. I'm gonna go ahead. We gonna get the money. Lord, I gotta go these investors. Lord, if it ain't one thing, it's another. Like Lord, I'm going further in the hole.
Consistency will be the key.
What it is, but
but I want to
bringing this stuff out and trying to figure out what's what. But boy, no bills mess around with these folks. Go ahead.
Hey, I just want to throw something out there I've been thinking about recently. I just, if I do anything, I just sit and think just like everybody else out here. And I had a couple of thoughts. It's nothing for us to talk about 2,000, 3,000 years ago, rulers who had power lust and they were trying to literally conquer the known world. And we read about that. We talk about it. It's not a big deal. But in my estimation, part of the fugazi is that since Christ, around that time, when I hear, read, and discuss history with folks, it doesn't seem like we attribute those same qualities to modern leaders. Like,
you're saying nothing new under the sun?
Nothing new under the sun, but we gotta hide it. So, in other words, look at the American idea. That's out of many, one, and United States. The whole idea of anybody can make it here. Blah blah blah. By the people, other people, for the people. It's late. I ain't got all my brain cells working, but But yeah, all that, right? That American idea, the American dream, and all that there. Could it be? Could it be that there are hands behind that idea that are more sold out to that idea than they are to anything else? Here's something I was thinking about during the last live and since the last live that you did. Okay, you and I are men of God. We are sold out to an eternal set of principles, a set of principles that hopefully, if it came to it, we would die for. Why? Because we look for a land, for a home that it transcends this 70 here on this planet. We understand God from everlasting to everlasting. So we are sold out to a set of principles that allow us to step outside of the realm of normal manhood here on this earth. And that was one of the things that always set Christians apart, because they said, man, these guys are willing to die for what they believe in. I mean, gruesome deaths. They sold out to something that's okay. So I was thinking about that. And I was thinking, what about these cats that don't believe? Could it be that they are sold out to lies or to the myth? Let's just take one. How about the myth of race? How about if I didn't know Christ, or if I turned my back on God and I said, you know what? It's all about Black people. I'm going to gather my family. I'm going to spread this like Brother Rothschild did. I keep wanting to say Baron because that's the dude, the cat that died. Anyway, let's say I gather my family. I create a dynasty. Let's say, in whatever realm, sports or whatever. And I sell out to that more than I sell out to race, more than I sell out to any religion or more than I sell out to any affiliation that I have. And I go about and I create that system that outlives me. And it goes, and you fast forward a couple of 100 years. And now there's a group of people in the world that everywhere you go, there's a picture of me above the mantle. Because I started this thing, this avalanche, this movement. Like looking at Rothschild, like looking at, we were talking about the idea of being sold out to Blackness. So we're gonna run into problems whenever we get on this subject as Christians. We got to figure this out. You're gonna always run into this problem because you're supposed to hate everything next to your love for God, including your ethnicity, including your affiliations, including your mother and your father. He broke it down so that we could understand you're supposed to love me with all you got. So what about the people that are sold out to other ideas and ideals, other principles? What about those folks? And see, the reason I'm saying it like this is because the way it's sold to me is that in school and in the media is that this stuff, what I'm talking right now is sheer nonsense. It's fiction. It's folly. It's foolishness. It's stuff of cartoons.
Is God going to pay the wicked for what they have done to the righteous? Is that Bible? Let's start right there. That's a good Christian spot to start.
That's a good
give everything. Some people go into hell because they don't believe in the blood and the Son,
mm-hmm.
or the wickedness that people have done in the earth.
Not in Christ. Okay. In Christ, in Christ, it's black and white.
Not in Christ, what?
It's black and white. People go to hell for their rejection of God in Christ Jesus.
So is God, when God say vengeance is mine? I want the Bible right now. Get these Christians away from me right now. What is the Bible? Does the Bible give me the impression? Oh, you Israelite, you don't know what you're talking about. He said, yes, sir. Does the Bible give you the impression? So God just gonna so the child molester, they just going to hell, the kidnapper, the people that getting money off of the slave trade, the murder, the serial killer, they just get hell. or their degrees in hell. Jesus said it was going to be more tolerable on the day of judgment. It'll be more tolerable from South than what do you compare Sodom and
Tyre
Gomorrah?
and Sidon. Tyre and Sidon. If the works, yeah, the works have been done in you. Yep.
If there's going to be some vengeance.
Chorazin.
I know y'all love John 3:16. There's gonna be some vengeance.
Yeah.
The Syrian
I can.
women gonna just go killing and Jeffrey. These folks just do what they want to do.
Yeah, I can rock with those that say it's degrees and levels in hell.
Them folks, listen, the Bible. We talking about the Bible now.
Right. So yeah, based on I certainly can. You had alluded to a scripture. I can't remember right now, but yeah, there are scriptures that point to there being levels to this thing as far as degrees of punishment. But I don't worry about that too much.
Does God like when you oppress the widow?
Absolutely not.
The fatherless?
Okay. Let me give you this here. I was gonna say. Hold on. I lost my thought. I was saying that. I don't spend time preaching concerning the levels of hell and teaching concerning that because I'm busy trying to, keep people out of there, and I busy myself with thoughts of life after, on the other side when God restores, when the new heaven and the new earth. So I think that's where we should put our energies because hell is being enlarged every day, and it's being enlarged by people that are perishing, and we don't know how much time we got. So we should live as though each day and each moment is our last, and we should, busy ourselves about the work of Christ. So I try to stay on that side, even though it is an intriguing, enticing study to kind of get into and to talk about. It's very interesting to me. But I try not to teach down that level. I will answer the question kind of like I just did, kind of mushy answer. It's like, I don't know. People say this and people say that based on the scriptures. So, and then you got the whole thing about, do you believe people's experiences? Because you got all these people coming back from these near-death experiences and these death experiences and resurrections and all that, and telling tales of degrees and levels in hell. So I put it in that folder mark. I don't know. But I wanted to make one point on what you just said. Hold on, if you give me 1 second, I got to pull it up. Maureen, you said something right when I was getting ready to. Okay, go ahead. It'll come back because it was a rather important thought. Anyway, you can go ahead and
don't get away.
Of land in London, helping Brazil gain its independence, financing massive projects such as the building of the Suez Canal, while also using its capital to help founding of some of the world's biggest companies. It also lent money to Japan so it could finance its side of the Russo-Japanese War. Nathan, now Lord Rothschild, had his finger in so many pies that he was sometimes called the most powerful man in Britain. It was Nathan who started the philanthropic activities of the Rothschilds. He had 7 kids of his own, each of whom either went into the business or spent much of their time with the charity side of the business. This included building schools, libraries, hospitals, orphanages, and places where the old could live their dying years in peace. But peace in the early 20th century was not exactly in the air. Investopedia tells us that there was infighting in the early 20th century, which was detrimental to the family wealth. We're told that during World War II, the family also lost many properties, while the Nazis stole millions of dollars worth of assets from the Rothschilds. Still, the family was never exactly broke. We're told that these days the family fortune is still considerable, and it still has its fingers in many, many pies, with finance, real estate, mining, and energy being some of the bigger pies. Some smaller businesses include things like owning wineries, of which the Rothschild own quite a few on different sides of the world. The family is also the proud owner of one of the biggest art collections in the world, and the mind boggles as to how much that collection is worth. There are many descendants in this family, and the wealth stays with them. You can easily find a list of all these descendants, and you'll see that here are way too many people for us to discuss in detail. For that reason, adding up what the entire family is worth is no easy feat, but people have tried to do it. We might look at the Forbes Richest People list, which has a few Rothschilds on it. Coming in at 84 for 2018 was a man called Benjamin de Rothschild. It's said that he has a net worth of about $1.7 billion. That's enough not to stress about the electricity bill and his 3 kids' school fees. But in terms of billionaires, he's nothing special. But then Forbes tells us his job is to preside over the Edmund de Rothschild global finance empire, and that's said to manage assets of up to $170 billion, including banks, hotels, and restaurants. Benjamin also owns or part owns vineyards in France, South Africa, Argentina, and New Zealand. And as we said, this is just one guy in a very big family. No one Rothschild family member has an obscene amount of wealth, but no one Rothschild is about to match the wealth of people such as Bill Gates or Warren Buffett. But when you add all those assets together, it does come to a lot of money. Searching for the magic number regarding the net worth of all the family, you'll find sources that differ drastically. We found one site that said the entire family fortune could be as much as $2 trillion, but the website Bankrate believes it's nowhere near that amount. It says the Rothschild family net worth is closer to $400 billion. And again, we must stress that there's a lot of mouths to feed in this large family. Bankrate tells us that one of the big money spinners is the Rothschild investment firm, which pulls in about $500 million a year. Then you have all the conspiracy theory sites, and they tell a totally different story. One such website tells us that the Rothschild had a hand in the assassination of American President John F. Kennedy, and that the family is worth an astounding $500 trillion. That particular site, one that seems to lack any kind of journalistic integrity, tells us that Jacob Rothschild is worth more than Bill Gates. This should be taken with a pinch of salt until someone can offer serious counter-evidence. Other resources tell us Jacob, the 82-year-old British investment banker, is worth like $5 billion, which pales in comparison to the Gates fortune. Let's see what those intrepid fact-finders over at Snopes tell us about the 500 trillion figure. Well, the first thing you can read in that story is that the Rothschild owning such wealth is false. It shows us an amusing meme of Jacob, who quite amusingly is made just to look like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. Snopes tells us that the grossly exaggerated wealth that some people talk about is another conspiracy tied up with paranoid platitudes along the line of the Jews run the world and the Illuminati control everything. Snopes tells us that when the 500 trillion number was first disseminated through the sometimes dishonest heart of the internet, the world's wealth was reportedly only at 250 trillion. This, said Snopes, is problematic. It certainly is. It sounds like a children's math question. In the box, there are 10 apples. Jane took 4, Peter took 2, Jacob took 20. How many apples are left? Snopes said that while many family members are indeed rich, the Rothschilds don't have anywhere near the global influence they used to have. So what are all these people worth? And we're talking about everything, all assets, businesses, etc. Investopedia published 2 stories about this, and each in turn was taken down with the website saying that the journalism was inadequately sourced. One story said the family's net worth was $350 billion, and another said the family controlled more than $2 trillion worth in assets. You can still see these numbers on other sites with links back to Investopedia. But as Investopedia wants nothing to do with these numbers, we would be better looking elsewhere. CNBC, you would think, would do its homework when adding up rich family wealth, but when it did, its list said it couldn't include families such as the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, because the wealth is just too diversified. Okay, we're getting nowhere here, and the reason is because no reliable journalistic sources have attempted to give us a number on this diversified wealth. If we look at the Forbes rich list again, Jacob Rothschild doesn't even get on the list with his purported $5 billion. We should add that it seems this number was first let loose by the website The Richest. But on the Forbes list, we have Benjamin, who we have already talked about, and also Jeff Rothschild, who is said to be worth about $2.2 billion right now. You could call this 63-year-old Silicon Valley resident a more modern kind of Rothschild, as he made a ton of money in tech, such as Facebook. But then it gets tricky, because his bio states he is not part of the Rothschild family. It seems not everyone agrees with that statement, but we'll take him for his word. So how much is the family worth? The mining, the finance, the energy, the arts, the wine, the properties? We must tell you that we don't feel after our little investigation that we could give you even a ballpark figure. The Financial Times doesn't even dare to state what it thinks the family is worth. Back in 2010, the newspaper said the ownership structure is opaque, which makes it hard to estimate the family wealth, although it is one of the richest in the world.
Now, any way you slice the cake, some people say, well, because you don't know how much they got, it's like a secret society. You'll just make up conspiracy theories like people do with the Freemasons. Now, like I said, the DEA and them want to follow the money so they can get some RICO and some other stuff going. It seems like it's a lot of money running around here, banking, game with the credit cards and all of that stuff. They got money from real estate and multiple. They oh man, far as oh man, them people, this money is
Right.
you gotta know why. You said
It's like the unseen hand.
you gotta think that these folk will do some ungodly things to get money.
Well,
Now, if they say the money from the slave trade, from cotton, from tobacco was still on this planet and in certain corporations and on Wall Street floating around, we gotta let's wait a minute. I know y'all want to sing at the cross, but I want to think for a minute. Let's put our thinking caps on. We can take them back off and start dancing in the church a little while, but let's put our thinking caps on for a minute.
Well, hold on, B. At that level, you're not really talking about money no more.
Black people.
At that level, you're talking influence.
Dale, what would they do if they'll fund both sides of the war?
Right.
The South and slavery, and they funded besides the slave ships. Now, but I'm thinking a little further. We gotta see what's going on with this stuff now.
Right.
But go
right.
ahead. Thanks, man.
No, I'm just saying when you get at that level, we talking power and influence now. It's really not money, because what can money buy? And you just start listing things. And if you got that, if you have influence, you go places and snap your finger, people see you and they go, oh, snap. Yeah, this place is yours. What can we do for you? Because you have influence. And, when your name means that level of power, or maybe people fear you, or whatever the situation is, I'm just saying, it ain't even about who's right about the dollar amount. It's power and influence. When you can finance both sides of a war, I know we're talking a couple hundred years ago, but still, that's crazy.
If they got the money back then, why reinvent the wheel?
That's crazy.
And the Civil War could work then. Man, listen.
Look at De Beers. You didn't mention De Beers. You got some.
Go ahead.
Well, I just want to show you one. You got some people that's so powerful that they say, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna buy up a majority of the world's, a large portion of the world's diamonds. I'm gonna buy them up, and then I'm gonna build huge vaults, and I'm gonna store the diamonds in the vaults. And I personally, my company is going to control the trickle of diamonds into the market, so that I control the price of this rock. Crazy.
And
buying up the
diamond mines, and the kids and the people over there working for the mines, and y'all
the blood diamond, yeah,
diamonds and all of that.
Yep.
Other stuff. It's a lot going on.
Hey, look.
It's not even that. It's just so much. I got to get to the Jekyll Island. I got to get to the whole thing. We got to get to all of this stuff right here, because this might be an area folk don't want to look into. This might be something that folk don't want to look into. Now, we're not gonna just jump and say they ruling the world, but folk are influential. Them folk in Dubai got plenty of money. They're the ones building that city. I forgot how many. Well, they say it's a family too. They like the Arabian Rockefellers or something. But we got to look into that. I know there's a bunch of billionaires in China. We got to look into all of this stuff though. Because if they've been gaming the people and milking the people, and we got to admit, money is not everything, but we got to admit that there were influences that helped shape and chop up Africa. There was influences that helped and got them people back in that land in 19. It's some things that could be looked at. We don't got to listen to everything them folk on the call and the holler and talking about. But but it's okay to look at established, not conspiracy theory, but established history, and see what we can piece together in light of the scripture and the nature of man and what God say would happen in the last days. I think that's nice and slow, so we won't go down them conspiracy rabbit holes. We'll just move forward like that. What do you think, Elder? Elder done fell asleep.
Hey, nah, I'm here. I'm here. I was just gonna say before you fool with Jekyll Island, you gotta mess with Judge Joe Brown.
Oh yeah, somebody. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, let me. I don't know. Send me a video and we'll.
If you pull up, if you
No,
pull
they
up,
like say Joe Brown on conspiratorial stuff, but
yeah. But Joe Brown is well connected enough and well respected enough. He is one of the ones that's perpetuating this thing about all the presidents being related and
oh no,
Obama.
he helped in the last days, one word New World Order type doctrine.
Yeah, he on that, and he
don't believe in that New World Order stuff. Some folks
he on that Kenyan thing. He on that Kenyan thing too. He says that that Obama is connected. That his father is like one of the richest cats in the world.
His father.
Yeah, because I'm trying to remember how it goes. He was a general, and once again through control, he controls all these precious minerals and stuff, and he hides that. Oh wait. Yeah, he tells he goes on for like about an hour and a half, and he talks about Obama's connection with Britain. And one of the things that he uses, somebody can help me out. One of the proofs that he uses is when there was a tanker that was in trouble. It had come under fire from pirates, and his response to that, the way he responded was not typical. Oh, dog, you had to do it that time, man. I got to find that. But Joe Brown is quick to talk about these things, and he goes back to the '60s with his connections, people he knew, things he knew about. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
hold on a minute, Sid. Now, just the beef right here. All right, send me the link. We'll pick it up tomorrow. I'm gonna shut it down. All right, send me that. Please send me that tonight before you go to sleep.
I'm gonna do it right now.
Obama, all right, Obama is an Israelite, but wait a minute now. Let's go with y'all doctrine. Who was black, his father or his mama? I know y'all loved him. Y'all got all into his history. Who was black, his father or his mother? I might have them mixed up because Bob Marley is the other way around with his whatever it is. I think it's the opposite. Oh man, Queen Elizabeth and them. That's gonna. Oh boy, yeah, it's gonna be rough. This is gonna be a long one. All right, we're gonna pick it up tomorrow. We're gonna take it slow. All right, I'm shutting it down, y'all. Y'all got any videos or anything? BereanTeacher@gmail.com. I'm looking at some stuff that came in. That must have been a little earlier. Shout out Fervent Charity. $$ Berean Teacher. If y'all want to throw a dollar on the Cash App, we appreciate y'all. We appreciate the support. We do spend some hours messing around with this thing, and we're gonna figure out how we gonna turn this financial situation around. Seems like everything they do, they get money. Seems like everything I do, I'm losing. I'm losing all around. Thank God for Jesus. Make it right, Lord. And money ain't everything. I try to say stuff to make myself feel better, but the Bible do say money answers all things. We appreciate y'all support. I'm gonna shut down. We're gonna pick this up tomorrow. And I'm gonna get Alton because Alton wanna mess around. He said, "Pray for Alton wanna mess around." No, we got to hem him up. Maybe my church people don't deal with, they don't want to deal with some of that stuff right there. But we'll see. It'll just be me and the crazy Israelites trying to figure it out. All right, y'all. Good night. I'm shutting it down.